All right, everyone. Welcome to the programming streams. Okay, so we're officially good to go. I've been playing around with it a lot. So again, I'm going to restate the plans, okay? We make the pinball and sandbox. I do think sandbox is going to be an interesting platform, and I just want to see like what the Source 2 engine feels like compared to everything else. We're going to try to make Snowjob in it too, because I really want to see how good it is for a social type of game that's based around people dropping in and out and playing a social game. There's actually been a lot of updates on the sandbox side, and the way this is going to work is very jank because I haven't made it yet. But I was going to make a plugin that can allow me to automatically switch to Windows based on the window focus in Windows on OBS, but I didn't do that yet, so sorry about that. Instead, you get me manually clicking buttons and hoping that I remember to click buttons. So I have a new organization now on Sandbox where I tested a bunch of publishing things. I was trying this last night for hours, so I slept at 3 a.m. I slept at 3 a.m. I was publishing different packages, seeing how the whole system works. It's a bit weird, it's a bit finicky, it's a bit buggy. I'll get into it. But the key is that Sandbox actually has a lot of interesting, cool features that is really nice. And they've been adding things since last time we tried this. So that's funny. That's funny. That's really funny. That worked last night. Okay, well they've been doing a lot of things since last night. And the last one we saw was maybe the October update, and there's a new physical player controller. So there's new menu pages and stuff. They're still trying to get to the point where they're able to make their own game and stuff. A lot of shortcuts for the asset browser. There's now a new dedicated server, or like there's going to be a dedicated server API that you can use to make your own dedicated server to interact with Sandbox. So you can run your own server now, which actually solves maybe the Snowjob problem, but maybe we don't need it. They're changing the model a little bit every now and then. So to whoever voted to get rid of the hot dog, I hate you. There's actually new AI and nav mesh stuff that I saw, virtual cursors, more HUD stuff, more fixes, more improvements, stuff like that. .NET 9 is actually now in, I think. Which is crazy because they updated it like the very next day. .NET 9 just released. So if you don't know, C# is the language of the engine, and there's like a million different pieces to C#. There's like the .NET standard, there's the standard framework, and then there's the library, and only one of those is cross-platform. I don't really know how it works. They now say Tech Jam, which I don't know what happened to this, but maybe it's still going. I have no clue. Oh, look, it was completed. It was done. There was a January update with a whole bunch of information about the standalone side, I think. So the exporting and figuring out how to get your own game outside of the Sandbox ecosystem. They actually released a bunch of items as part of this as part of the Steam Workshop monetization thing, which is interesting as well. And they have some new documentation on things as well as some updates to the networking. They've also been trying to move the map making into the core of the scene thing, and then which is interesting because before it was Hammer, but now they're trying to make the scene editor into Hammer in many different ways. So it's fascinating to sort of see this being done. You no longer have to know about VTEX, which is nice. I really hated having to learn the format. You can put text decals and stuff like that on walls. Basically, there's a lot of really cool, interesting features now, right? They're also deprecating the undo system. Like there's a whole bunch. They've even been improving here, like the graphics side of things, allowing you to do more than what you'd normally be able to do before. So now you get to do a lot of interesting and much more robust things with it. Let me just lower the volume on my end. Sorry, it's a bit loud. There we go. So basically, there's a ton of updates for all of this stuff. So it's fascinating to sort of see them go full speed ahead. They've also released this play fun thing where the more people play your game, the more money you will make. I don't give a shit about this, okay? The key, why I'm using this again, is because I really wanted to see how well this works, right? So this thing has had a bunch of updates ever since we last used it. And honestly, it's fascinating to sort of look at the ecosystem. And I actually tried a couple of things. So I actually did make smaller projects because there was one thing that I noticed that I was kind of getting annoyed of, which you'll kind of see once I get into it. But I tried to make a library, and then I tried to publish a game just to see how it worked. Both of them are private, because I just want to see how this system worked. It's actually fairly straightforward. I'm pretty sure I understand how the engine works now, because it's fairly easy to dissect it, because you can actually decompile the entire thing, because it's C#. The one thing that's nice about C# is that, because the language has like a standard representation, you can very easily decompile the entire thing, and see through every single thing that it does, and so you know exactly how it works. Obviously, that knowledge is a little dangerous because you end up in a situation where you might steal code, but as long as you don't steal code, then you're fine. And so you end up with this very fascinating look into the ecosystem that actually works very well. Again, I tried out the publishing. It's a little bit finicky because of some weird issues with the publishing. So I'm going to show you this. Basically, last night for 3 hours, I was like, why is my publishing not working? So here's one project. This project is specifically nothing. It's just a library to handle generating like a class with a bunch of constant properties, because it's very annoying, but when you want to use tags, they're by name. And I was bitten by this multiple times. Okay, this is the wrong project to show you. When you... Oh, here we go. When you modify the whatchamacallit, when you modify the collision rule tags, or any tag at all, it's by name. And some of these tags have effects. So these tags in particular, you can't even see the UI. Oh, God. Okay, well, you can't even see this UI because the window catcher. I don't want to show my whole desktop. There we go. Because it's annoying because these tags have effects on how the engine works. Like, these collision rules change how things are affected by the physics engine. But if you change the name of one of these tags and your code is referencing the old name, you won't know until you run into an issue when you try to do that thing. So it's like, I made this thing very quickly. It was a small library to generate a C# class that had these static properties, using the worst possible way ever, which is just outputting a string to a C# file. And I tried to upload it as a library, and there was a bunch of issues trying to upload libraries. Like, one, when you have the library open within Sandbox, even the minimal template, and you try to open it directly with Sandbox, it adds in a bunch of extra files that the publisher tries to... That this like publish button over here, this like upload button, tries to upload as well, because this actually uploads a bunch of files from your project online to the Sandbox thing. And it's a bunch of files that you don't want. Like, it tries to upload files within the hidden SBox folder. It tries to upload like a bunch of files that you didn't even want. Like, I don't know what the CLL is, for instance. There's a lot of things that it uploads that doesn't really make sense. The flow of how you upload is also annoying because of that problem, you can't upload it if you open the package as a main window. You have to like basically so this is the main window of this package library. You can't just upload it from here because it's going to upload a whole bunch of like extra shit. So if I show you, this was really frustrating to figure out and try to figure out. And also, the launcher doesn't show you the library template. You have to go find it in that subfolder inside the templates folder in the games directory. So right now this is open, right? This thing only has like one file. It has one single generated.cs file, but it's uploaded a bunch of sbox.cloud/models. Like, this is just a bunch of files that these are model and animation and like texture files. So these don't really exist here. Like, it's not a part of my project. It's just what Sandbox pulls down temporarily because you browse the asset store. That's the only reason why it's here or something. But it tries to upload it. Really, my thing is only this, and these two. That's it. And now it's trying to upload my collision config, which isn't a part of the library, but when you open it within Sandbox, it automatically generates that as part of the entire scaffolding, right? And then it tries to upload this like CloudDB thing, and then the solution file and like the SB project, neither of which I would want either. The SB project you need, but basically it tries to do a lot when it should just be uploading stuff for your library. You can't filter this, so when we go to publish, I have to go through like a whole different way of publishing. I'm actually going crazy. So for 3 hours last night, I was trying to figure out, okay, why doesn't this work? So my solution was this. So if you want to publish a library, the best way that I found was you open this to make it generate the solution file, because you can't generate the solution file by yourself, because the C# solution file. The solution file, what is a solution file? A solution file is a way of describing your project, and it has all these different things that the compiler will use and to like look up, say, code references and code files. It's basically the way that you define your includes on an entire project level, and you define the framework and like the structure of your project. So you say, You want a certain C# standard and stuff like that. Okay, so that's what the solution file is. You can't do it by hand because it's a bunch of internal sandbox stuff that gets generated at build time. So you need that if you want to work on the code. But when you're done working with the code, I don't publish it through here. You have to. I made another project called the librarian. So in here, I symlinked it. So I symlinked it to the library folder. So because there's a folder called libraries here where you can actually symlink it, and it just kind of goes into it, and it'll just be here for you to use. Actually no, this one is a Git submodule because I have a GitHub thing for it. And then from here, you can publish it from inside here, which will then not throw in a bunch of the shit that you don't want, right? So if you don't want to upload all those other things, let's say I want to publish this, right? See that? Now there's only 3 files versus the .xbox cloud. Here, look, it's way easier now. Now there's a lot less files. So you want to publish it from here, but here's the catch. You can't. The problem is that when you publish it, this has a reference to it, and over here you see the version number. You see how it says update? Don't click that, because when you update it, it breaks it, and you have to like delete the folder, and then recreate your project, your solution or something, and you have to like do it again. You have to like pull the submodule again because it's like or like you have to symlink it again because like whatever it does pulling stuff down, you then can't push it back up because it sees it under new references for some reason, like whatever they use to determine what files to upload. And then those files conflict, and then within your log, you'll see bad requests, duplicate files, and so it's like so. So you have one project for the library, you got this project for the upload, and then you have your actual game project where you use it. But then the problem, this is problem number 3. So I did all this for 3 hours last night, right? And I was like, okay, good. Now I have my library where I can like use this stuff, right? So maybe it works. Okay, I installed these to like test something because I installed these to make sure that it wasn't my bug. Please, okay, and also when you delete packages, which I mean, to be fair, it's hard to do. Tells you to restart the editor, which is fine. It's okay. But you know, there's a lot to do here. So you remove this. You remove this, and yes, please. Okay, why is it frozen? It's not responding. Okay, good. Okay, now remove this as well. Okay, so let's remove all 3, and I'll show you what happens when you try to install your package. It's honestly weird. You can kind of see hints of it down here with the little issues that you find when you add and remove things, but that's okay. This is a whole thing. So again, this is like very beta stuff. It makes sense because this is like a developer preview, but I've been collecting all this data to eventually write like a good bug report, but I haven't had time yet. Let this be like a working log. And yes, the stream will lag because when you start Sandbox, it stalls your entire system, and I don't know why. I don't know why. I think it flushes the window queue, which flushes everything, including every other window. So it causes all of Windows to hang because it's like, okay, why'd you flush me? Okay, so now you don't have the package. It's no longer here. It's not in the folder. It's not in your libraries folder. We can see this by going to the project libraries folder, which is a whole different folder that it has, and this is where it stores everything. Okay, there's nothing here. So now let's say you want to add back your internal package. Okay, it's not a permissions thing because I literally am the person who has ownership of it. It has my accounts because when you start it from Steam, I think it does the automatic Steam login thing. So, and everything is tied to your Steam account. So, you know, my Steam account is now known. You then want to install this particular version, okay? This is your own package, all right? I don't know why only mine does this. Tried to add library, but it couldn't create project. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to fix any of this. So, for some reason, despite me following the minimal template, this doesn't work. I don't know why, but now if I open it in my code editor, it actually doesn't show up in my code editor the correct project structure. So let me show you now. This is all very complicated stuff. I was actually trying to go through this bit, but it was like 3 a.m. and I was like, I should sleep at this point. So now you open this. So you open this solution inside your editor of choice. I'm using Rider, but you can choose anything. You don't have to Rider if you don't know her. Haha. It should show up here, or in or it should show up somewhere here. I don't know, it should show up in like a libraries folder, but it doesn't. That's what it means by it's missing the project. The project is quite literally the reference to it, reference to the code files within your sandbox project, so that it can reference it and use it as part of the build process. So for some reason, when you add the library, it can't create the project, even though I follow the minimal template. So okay, so now okay, first off, where did you come from? Oh wait, sorry. Okay, so first off, it's not installed yet, right? Because it didn't work. So you have to restart the editor again. And then you go back into it, and I don't know what I did wrong here. And it's gonna hang. It's gonna flush the windows. So just give it a second. Things will pause. Okay, so now it's back open, and so now you see it installed, right? And so now you think, okay, 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 it works. Forget the fact that it says stall detected. Stalling is a whole different issue. That's primarily just for the window thing as it's starting the project. Okay, so now let's say you want to open up the project file again, right? Let's say maybe it's like there now. No, it's still not there. Oh, sorry. Wait, I need to do this, and you can even recreate the project file, and it still won't be there. So if I delete the project file from this, or sorry, if I delete the solution file from this folder, and then I force a sandbox to recreate the solution file and try to create the project, nothing works. Oh, wait, I had to close it again. Sorry. I had to close it again. Oh. There's some annoyances with it, so there's some annoyances with the system, so it's a cool system when you actually get it working, and it's a cool system when you actually get the entire system going, and when you get to the point where you can actually publish things and like make it work. But yeah, it's a bit frustrating to get going initially, and it's definitely, it needs a lot of knowledge on the compilation process of C# for you to actually debug your own problems and even begin to understand how to write a bug report for this stuff. Because I don't know necessarily the finer details of it. Because again, if you now open the project within Rider, again, it's still not there as a project. So I can't use my library. I can use everybody else's library, but not mine. Even though it follows the same template. And mind you, the minimal template and even copying over the official Facepunch library sort of structure and files seems to work fine. Something I do in mine just doesn't work. And it's not because of the assembly file, because none of them have an assembly file. There's something wrong with mine specifically. And I hate that I'm wrong. Anyways, yeah, that's what I was doing for like 3 hours last night. I was trying to figure out why this didn't work. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. A lot of fun to figure out why that didn't work. Very painful, to say the least. But yeah, it's all to show you that this is still a developer preview. So we're going to see some bugs here and there. Primarily the stalling. The stalling is really, that's the thing that's going to kill me. And it's going to be a very, very painful experience for all of us, okay? So for those of you who wanted a programming stream, this is what programming is like. Programming is not this happy case where you get to go in and just make your thing and it's all handy dandy and really fun. No! It's torture. It's torture. You spend hours thinking about this stuff. You spend hours trying to figure out why nothing works. You spend moments of your life wondering how come nothing ever seems to like, pan out. This is the reality of programming. And I want you all to look at it. Read them and the weep. So let's do Xbox, and we'll do Rider, and we'll do browser. It's also interesting because in trying to set up the programming side, the streaming side of it, there's a lot to do for streaming programming that I kind of get annoyed of, and that's why I want to find a better solution for it. Showing a desktop is annoying because if you use things like GPG keys, right? I don't necessarily know how much information it shows, but Cleopatra on Windows shows a bit of information about your key that I don't really want it to show, but I like to sign my commits to make sure that you know it's me, okay? It's also nice for security purposes and stuff like that. So if you use anything that's like weird like that, the system as a whole kind of starts to fall apart at the seams. There's a lot of things going on, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And it's never really going to be an easy road no matter what we use. I think either way, we'd have to deal with this no matter what. But at least here, we can take part in maybe making it better. And yeah, maybe somehow being a part, like seeing and being a part of this like whole ecosystem of stuff, which is kind of interesting to think about here. Sandbox, no, it's sandbox. It's just think of it as a sandbox. Yakuza. Well, actually, I have no clue. It could be Sandbox. So I'm assuming that they're going for that's for the sand thing. Yakuza Pirate came out today. I know. You missed the entire thing about me talking about the pirate. I've actually been thinking about that game because it is interesting how the best pirate game that's come out in a very long time has been from Yakuza. Anyways, yeah, so that's what today's program is going to be like. And this is how the program is going to be like for a while. And that's even before we get to our game, okay? So all that I've talked about is like the tool, making sure that the tool works and understanding how the tool functions. When it works well because it's very easy. You just go straight to your organization and you can just upload things and you can make it, public. Yeah, I can say what it's about. There's a whole little editor thing here. I'm pretty sure this is Markdown, but I didn't really check it out yet. You can even review your own stuff. I don't know what I can review my own thing. Send bug reports to myself, suggest things to myself. Like, it actually gives you a whole ecosystem of things that you can have, which is kind of cool. Like, this is the thing that made me decide on Sandbox specifically, was this a bit. The bug report, the feature request, the ability for you to effectively have people send in suggestions for your game without having to go through the rigmarole of having your own site and stuff. So, for instance, if I go to my test game, I think it's still live. No, it died. Okay, good. Is it test game or test publish? Here we go. So, for instance, if I go here and I see my game, right? Like, and I can actually see, for instance, all the errors that occurred. Like, there's a surprisingly... Getting this feature for yourself would take a fair amount of work to instrument your build, right? And, like, instrument your game. And it's not the most complicated thing ever, but it is a little bit annoying. And there's a lot of different legal things that you have to worry about. So, it's like you have to have a different build for certain countries even, or different notices of like data collection for different places. That's a lot of legal jargon that Sandbox kind of handles for you. You have an activity log that shows who did what. If you have multiple people working on a single project, you can see what games are available, the player counts. You can even go through your original changes. Again, you can go through all these requests. You can make your own achievements on here. There's a stats editor, a leaderboard editor. Like, there's a lot that it gives you. It even gives you, and this is the interesting part, performance sort of information throughout the day. The thing is that I don't really know what this is yet, and I don't really know how they collect this, but you can actually see in general how well your game is performing when people play it. So I can probably see, for instance, like it's taking too long in the update side. Why? And maybe some of you have a really shitty CPU, and I can like see that and fix that and take that into account. Like, you don't really get this if you do it by yourself. It's kind of a weird thing where if you do things by yourself, you have to add all this one by one. From like a web dev standpoint, the closest analogy is you have to install Sentry and set it up. But if you want the timings for things, you have to manually time things and manually add in the statements to time various sections of your code, right? It's like, if you use like React Saggers, for instance, you're going to have to instrument that by calling some Sentry like timing function, right? Like it's like a whole bunch of things that the game gives you for free. And that's on the website where it's easy. On making your own game in any other engine, I have no clue how to even begin doing that. How do you access these stats from an engine perspective? I have no clue. So yeah, there's a lot to think about here, okay? But that's why we're using it. That's why I really want to try the Snowjob on this too. But we're making the pinball game first. And the pinball game, actually, specifically, we're going to be doing it like so. If I can just get this going here. Do I show Obsidian? Yeah, I'll just show Obsidian. I don't really care. Oh, well, it'd be nice if I opened it first. Okay, so sorry, I'm just I'm already tired from just talking. This is why programming on stream is a little bit complicated. It's a little complicated. Okay, so now we have Obsidian. I don't know why it doesn't show anymore. There we go. So the pinball game is very simple. Pinball roguelike. This came about because we played the Minesweeper games. We all got addicted to Minesweeper for like 2 weeks collectively as an entire group. I say this in the sense of like you're all responsible for yourselves and like me too. So the addiction came because all of us fell for the same thing. And then we played the Minesweeper roguelike and we had that discussion about what it like could you turn any game into a roguelike and it's fun. And I was like, what other old game genres have we never seen trying to enter a roguelike? Because you have Ballionaire, which is pachinko. You have the claw grab one, which is just a claw grab machine. You have Peglin, which is pachinko. You have Balatro, which is big too. Or Ding Lon in the Vietnamese. It's actually very similar, actually. And then you also have what other like roguelike classic games are there? The Minesweeper one, right? But there was no pinball. So basically, all this spawned from the pinball idea, okay? And I was thinking to myself, what the hell is a pinball roguelike? So now I've consolidated down into what is a pinball roguelike. I believe a pinball roguelike is very, very simple and very, very fun to play. It could be very fun to play because you have a very interesting baseline of it's a physics-driven game, right? But it's simple. There's no movement. The only movement that you have are the two paddles, and so in terms of game code, there's not much that you have to deal with. The ball is on mostly a fixed plane, the Y and the X plane. Like it doesn't really go forward and back. There's no actual depth to it, but we can use the depth for the sake of like the visuals and stuff, right? So 3D visuals, 2D physics gameplay, right? Very simple. It simplifies a lot actually, and we can even lock one of those axes up. What else? The game itself is already kind of dopamine inducing. If you ever played the space pinball game on your Windows machine, Windows XP, you know how dopamine inducing it can be. Because you play that game and you just score more and more points. But with all the upsides, there's a bit of downsides to it. One, pinball has no goals. So pinball by itself has never had a goal to it. When you play pinball, you play it for score. And you keep going higher and higher in score, but that doesn't really matter to you, right? Score can be a fun game mechanic, I think. It's very speedrun-esque, but the problem is that with pinball, if there's never any variation, you're playing the same level over and over and over, trying to get the highest score. It eventually becomes optimizing for the best moves instead of playing with the dynamism of the physics system, right? So I was thinking to myself, okay, you have a lose condition, which is the ball goes into the hole. If the ball goes into the hole one too many times, then you lose. So I was thinking to myself, okay, how can we do that type of, I guess, like, benefit for the game to beat you, but for the player? Because the game has a goal of like try to get the ball into the hole. It's sort of not really a goal that the game tries to go towards, because aside from like the bumpers that push the ball, there's not much that can affect the ball besides you hitting it against walls. And so it's mostly a mistake on the player's fault. But there's still something there. And so I was thinking to myself, well, why don't we just do it like a classic roguelike style of like you've got like enemies to fight and stuff like that, and you've got like maps to complete. And so I was thinking to myself, okay, what kind of enemies and what can I do? And I realized something. What is pinball? You play with balls, right? That's the core of the game, is you play with balls. And I was thinking to myself, what are the enemies gonna do? You have to kill the enemies, but what are they trying to do to you? Well, they're trying to kill you. We already have a way to kill you by putting balls into your hole. So why don't they just shoot balls at you? And I was like, okay, good. We can play a game about them shooting balls at you. And I was like, wait, that's perfect, because a ball is just a ball. Your paddles can hit the balls. And then I was like, wait, you can do even more. You can even do things like, upgrades for your balls or even for your paddles, and maybe even things that you can attach to your paddle, and even paddles that play differently. So you might have like the basic flat paddle. You might have like a steel paddle, which hits even harder or something. You might have like a sticky paddle, which allows you to like hold it for a bit to like aim it and then let go when you want to. Stuff like that. You might even have like a non-paddle, like it's just a fist. You gotta charge your fist and just punch the ball up, right? Like you can do a lot with that, okay? You can add things to the map dynamically. So if we give items to the player to like build the map with, they can build maybe little walls and obstacles. They can build little boost pads, right? There's some pretty fun like ideas there. You have different types of balls. You can do like a ball that splits apart. You can do a ball that coats everything in like oil, which makes it sort of roll off and slip off at a different angle when it bounces on it, right? You can even do like a magnetic ball that maybe it's almost like a Metroid Spider ball, the way that it rolls along a surface. Like there's a lot of different things that you can do with this. So I wrote all that down and I was like, let's just try all of this, right? So I have like 4 basic bosses to go with, and the final boss splits the map into 2, and you play like a mirrored version of on both sides. And we're just gonna see how it feels like to just work. The best part again is that this is much simpler overall. There's no real movement, it's just physics. And physics is a solved problem. Insofar as like collision and interaction with other things and defining what collides with what, that's a solved problem in most every physics engine today. I can't imagine any physics engine that doesn't handle collisions well, okay? At least in modern times. Even something like Jolt, which was made by one person as a side project and was only used in Horizon Forbidden West or something. That thing, a physics engine made by one single person also has all this and it works well. So basically, we have a very simple path towards success. The only hard part is that we have to build a level, but if it's just a bunch of flat shapes, we can just use hammer and just quite literally hammer in a bunch of like shapes within the hammer thing and just import it, and then you have it. And you have a prefab for the paddles, you're good to go, right? The hardest part is going to be the bosses and their behavior, but all the bosses behave roughly the same. They aim for your hole. They want to get their ball inside your hole. And from there, you just need to figure out how to just deal with the aiming, which is simple. I think we just have a target thing. And that's it. Like this is a much simpler game idea than Snowjob, which I think inherently has a lot more complexity because of the ball rolling bit and how to make that feel good. Whereas this one is like, your interaction with the ball is maybe for just a moment, and there's a very defined standard for it, so it just works. Obviously, there's going to be a bit of a difficulty thing where I don't know how difficult this game will be to play for people, but I think it's fine if the game just is it is like an arcadey physics style pinball game, and we can tweak it from there. But I think it's going to be good. So basically, that's the game. That's why we're doing this. Okay, long-winded discussion. So basically, last night, figured out how to publish things, figured out how things worked in general, dove deeper into how all of it kind of makes sense and stuff. And it works very, very well. It's actually surprisingly good, and there's a lot of features that are available for you, and I actually think it's worth it to try and use this, because, again, getting it for yourself, by yourself, in your own project is a whole mess. Like, it's very, very difficult to set up even stuff like player counts, or even, well, player counts is easy, but like even stuff like getting a view into sessions and maybe even being able to like join them, getting a view into your errors at like runtime, getting a view into your performance stats at runtime, and actually uploading that. These are not simple things to get out of the box, and it gives you handy dandy editors that let you do all this like within the system itself, which is nice. That's why we're here. So that's why we're here. I played around with like programming some things. A lot of the stuff is just whatever I think, like code that I was thinking about, and I was just slowly mapping things out in a way that hopefully makes sense. And primarily, it's about the physics interactions and making sure that shit works with like the balls, right? So the key thing that I thought of, and the thing that I wanted to make first, was the input for the paddles. A basic level, so a basic level as to what we should be seeing from the level, and how the level should be interacting with the ball, and basically like a basic framework and layout for the level that we can mess around with and play with. Basically, all the extras is everything but hitting the balls. Even the enemies, I would say, are extras for day one. Day one, I just want to focus on getting a basic level up using hammer. I want to focus on getting the paddles working with the input. And I just want to focus on getting the ball to behave the way that we want it to, with the right type of performance characteristics in terms of the physics performance of it. So the way that it performs when it's hit and it gets thrown around, okay? I did some tests along with the physics engine, so I think I know how it works. So, for instance, we can even do, I think by today, the ball split mechanic as like one of the first things, because now I know how the physics engine kind of works. Like, it's interesting. It's actually very straightforward. And I have some solutions for how to do the ball splitting and the phasing of the balls as they spawn without getting it stuck. So, yeah, there's a lot. So, there's a lot of different things that I had to figure out here. What's interesting is that the documentation has gotten better, too. So, as the documentation gets better, it gets easier and easier to, like, work on things. It's still not the best thing ever. It's still kind of all over the place. And, like, the problem is that, like, I don't... Categories... It's not a problem of this documentation. It's a problem of every documentation system out there, where the categories that you use in your mind are very different from the categories that it end up displaying as, because we categorize things differently. It's the entire reason why some people organize their rooms one way and some people organize their rooms in another way. It's because you and I have a different categorization system. So when I think of networking and multiplayer, I think of these things. I think of ownership, but I don't think of custom snapshot data because I thought snapshot data is something else. But then you read that, oh, it is about the networking stuff. And then, for instance, I might think about the input, and I don't think about the glyphs because to me it just doesn't really exist, but it's here. And I think more about the input, but maybe that's just something. What's that thing that like really the categorization threw me? There was one bit about the categorization of this that threw me. But anyways, all this to say that this isn't the documentation's fault. I just think weird about documentation. But yeah, let's see how this goes. I have no clue how this is going to go, but let's just see how it goes. Again, I gave you my plan for the basics of what the game is going to be like. Hopefully this actually shows up. How do I do this? So, the browser here. Yeah, browser should be here. This should be at the... This should... I don't know if this should be at the top. Should this be at the top? This should be at the bottom for sure. Yeah, and then eventually we'll get better at like the way that we stream programming. Streaming programming is a surprisingly complex problem because, again, you can't show your desktop, but you want to show a bunch of windows at the same time because when you're programming, there's so much context, and that's on top of the fact that you're still running a show too, so there's like background music. So, all this to say, you've hurt me, chat. But let's see how it goes. So last time, so basically over the past couple days, well, basically the 2 days, I was like, okay, how's this gonna work? Like, what does this even look like? What exactly is a ball? Well, a ball does nothing. A ball is just this. I was thinking about how to like add components because certain components need to be tag components. The way that I need to, like, the way that I need to look at it, and the game has to know that it's like a ball. If that makes sense. Like, there's a lot of different things I was thinking about within my code, and then I was thinking about how do you actually do the ball split, which is fairly straightforward. And then this is for later for the stone ball and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this actually works. This is when I was testing the collision stuff, and so now I know how this works. But we still need to get to the point where we get the paddles working. So I think we just focus on the paddles for now. What am I hiding on my desktop? A lot. I'm hiding a lot on my desktop. It's actually the giant foot picture. So if you don't know, I took a bunch of foot pictures of Nikki and Infinity Nikki. So she's got like, my desktop is currently this. My desktop is currently this. So if you saw this, I worried that you would look at me differently. But also just because like, again, I use GPG keys to sign my commits. And then when Cleopatra shows up, which is the Windows client for GPG, or one of the many, and it says, oh, enter your passphrase to, unlock your key to sign this with, right? I have to open one password or whatever my password manager is now. Copy it over. Like, it's a whole mess. So it's like, if I show you any of that, it shows too much information. But it has to be done because it's sort of my workflow that I do anyways for my normal stuff. So it's like, what do I do? What do I do? So it's like, how do you hide this stuff selectively? Well, you can't. That's why even before it was getting kind of risky showing you everything because some folders even on my computer aren't for you, right? Like if I have a dick pic, I can't show you that. Or if I have like a very personal photo of like a message that like someone sent me, then I can't show you that. And I have to like keep it all hidden, right? So it's both a responsibility thing as well as I don't want you to know about my life thing because there's a barrier between us, right? For obvious reasons, but as much as it pains me to say, there's going to be a barrier here. But we do need paddles. And I was thinking for the paddles, actually, we can just use a bunch of cubes and just stretch them and make a prefab from it because why not? Because really, what is a paddle? A paddle is just a shape. The shape can be anything. And so for testing, it can just be a long rectangle that we can test with. I don't really know how we're going to handle the depth, and I don't really know how physics works with depth, so we're going to have to figure out how to constrain the physics to only be 2 dimensions versus 3, which is going to be interesting because I don't really know if you can do that, but we're going to see if we can, and we can probably just build the paddle up from this. So if I just get rid of this is this, keep the plane, I guess, keep the sun, scene information, what? Oh, this is like oh, that's weird. It's like a whole thing now. Here. Then we should be okay. How come this isn't anywhere else? I feel like this, well, I guess it makes sense. Because if we put it on the camera could be gone. But we can just make a paddle with this, probably. And we can probably just scale it out, and it might be fine. But I have no clue if this works, 'cause I remember last time scaling was a bit weird. We can maybe even just do, like, a bunch of random shapes, or I go into Blender really quick, and I just export, like, a 3D model of a paddle really quick, and I just do it, right? I don't really know. But, I don't know. Let's just try this. And so, order of operations. Input, ball, physics, so trying to get that to work. And then the level itself. So just drop the balls constantly at, like, a rate of whatever. Remove the balls after 5 seconds, right? Just to make sure that they don't stay on screen forever. And then just play with them. Or remove the balls if they go below origin 0, like the horizontal line, right? Or like the Y line, something like that. Is Y on top? No, Y is that. X is what? Oh. Uh, so X, well, I don't fucking know. I don't know. Is it like this or is it like this? Well, I guess it's like this. Technically, the Y is the forward, right? So it's like this. Well, I don't know. Wait, yeah, it is. Yeah. Because if you transpose it and then perpendicular, yeah. Okay, so technically this. Okay, so yeah, so all this to say, this is gonna be complicated. The problem with all this stuff is that I don't really know how to, like, do this in a way that is not so discordant. Like, I feel like there is only one way to do this, and that's to have it be discordant in some way. Like, it's just so complicated to think of all the stuff. Because with programming too, it's like it's hard for me to think of, like, a straightforward plan of implementation. The way that I usually do things when I program is I take bits and pieces. Like, I might go, okay, well, this time it's this time it's that. And actually, if I'm staying all on one screen, you can't see everything. I just do like this. So for me, it's, like, very difficult to almost keep in mind everything that we can do and stick to, like, a specific plan of things, if that makes sense. We'll see how it goes though. I'm gonna just say this as, like, paddle. They add stuff to, like, a prefab afterwards, so this is a prefab now. So there's now paddle prefab. Oh, here we go. Okay, so it does. Cool. So now it's this. But I can't. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Oops. Oh, I see. Oh, oops. Okay. Well, don't do that. So let's just delete this. Sure. Everything including directories. Sure. Okay, so now this is gone. Okay. Well, now I know how the prefab works. But yeah, hopefully we get the input stuff done. We get, like, a basic level up, and then we see how it goes. And if you have any ideas for gameplay stuff, just let me know. I'm thinking the pinball stuff is going to be fun, okay? I genuinely think it's going to be fun. It sucks, though, because it's, like, it's not a good, I think, example of what Sandbox as a platform can do. But at least we do get to play around with the other bits of the platform. Key to the bits is the development side. Like, we get to play around with the ways that, as a developer, you can see the performance of your stuff. And all those other stats, right? Like, paddle left. But you don't get to play around with the multiplayer. Because I was actually thinking about this. I was thinking, how do you make pinball a multiplayer experience? Because if you ever gone to, like, a pinball place with your friends, it is technically multiplayer, but only when somebody loses, or, like, or you have one friend who pushes the table while another friend is playing the game, and then one person is focusing on launching the balls. If that makes sense. So that's not very fun for, like, an online game. So I was like, okay, we don't get to play with the multiplayer portion of the Sandbox. And if this doesn't work out well, like, if I find that it's basically impossible to stream and program this, I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and put it on pause again and just do it on my own time, because I'm gonna go crazy trying to do this in a way where I don't feel like I'm losing my mind. Actually, we can do, like, I don't know, minus 100. Sure. Do I want to save the changes? Yeah, sure, of course. Why did I ask that? What? Oh, shit. Yeah, sure, 0. Let's just get rid of this plane. This plane's bothering me. Thank you, camera. I need to. So there was one thing that I was thinking about. How does the game know where to, like, push all the balls? So if enemies have balls and stuff, right? How do they know where the balls go? Theoretically, I should just have a component that they can look at almost. Because I was thinking about all this code to like, automatically determine the center of two paddles from the position of the paddles, and getting the middle points based on their origins, but then I was like had to take into account their their like width and their length and stuff, and that's annoying. And really, what you want to do is dynamically build that from your understanding of the paddle. So I was like, well, let's just make a paddle prefab, and then we have another game object in the middle that's like this is the paddle center. Let's do like empty paddle center, and then I see something to denote that this is the paddle center, which I think probably best is probably going to be the component. But I don't know how to. How do you actually? How would you? Is there a way to get a specific component every single time? I wonder. Let's say enemies are shooting balls. Date everything. What the fuck is this? What is that? What? Why did I save that? Date everything. What game is this? Oh, it's the game where you go on a date with your blender. Right. Okay, cool. Like if how do I do this? Okay, so pinball level like this. Got two little paddles over here, okay? And then we have a component in the middle that's like, okay, this is the center. There's no need to dynamically calculate where this hole is. And then maybe that's fine, because I don't think we'll have... I'm trying to stay away from upgrades that are just numerical upgrades, so I don't think we'll have an upgrade that's like increase the size of your paddle. The problem is that... How do we get a specific thing? Like, how do we get the specific component, if that makes sense? Like, how do we get a specific game object always and trying to find it and refer it by the exact thing that it is without just having a reference to it beforehand in every single bit of code? Because it's going to be on a system or something that determines how enemies shoot, right? But if I make an enemy and I have to keep copying this reference around, is that annoying? Or is there a way for me to do it once and or like always find it? You know what I mean? Like something like this. How do I get something with a unique ID that I can always find that also works if I do want to change it? Because the one boss that I had for this game as an idea was like, imagine a boss where it duplicates your board but then mirrors it on both sides. So it's like you're... On one side, it's normal controls. On the other side, it's like mirrored. So the button to press your left paddle would be pressing the right paddle. How would you do that? Now you have two different centers for two different sides. How do you then reference those specifically, each one per side by itself, when everything is given a randomly generated ID when it spawns? And so maybe the solution is we just add a tag. It might even be easier than doing anything... like trying to add a component to it, but I don't know if that works. Like, is there any other way to get a game object, but except by G? Like, does it have to be GUID, or like a static reference as like a property? Because you can also do this. You can also do You could also do. What is that noise? Is that the music? You hear it like wait, does it scratch? It is. Sorry. So because you can do a property in your thing. Sorry, I need to close. So this is the problem with many things are going crazy. Okay, like you could do like this, and it's like I don't know, public game object get set, and then you can set this onto anything that has this component by going back to the editor, and you can do stuff like I don't know this. Let's say this has like the test collision listener, and you can do this as a reference and drag it in. But is that annoying to do? Or maybe that's fine and we kind of have to do it like this. I don't really know. We'll have to see. Maybe it's even better if I do this once on a single sort of like singleton, like has everything. And then this has all the references to all the paddle stuff, and it's very simple, and then I just update this one instead. And then if you change your paddle type, which is going to be like a different prefab, we spawn the prefab, and I just update the reference onto this, and everything else looks at this. Maybe that's the way. And it maybe doesn't even need to be in the scene. It can be as simple as a game system too. I don't know. And okay, so there's another thing about programming streaming. We really need to, I think, one day do a stream where we finish that plugin. We need to finish that window listener plugin for OBS so that it automatically switches scenes based on which window has focus. Because the way that OBS works right now, it's always shows the window unless it's minimized. But that's not how we use computers. The way that we use computers is by focus. So we look at it and we say, okay, I'm no longer focused on this window, but I'm focused on this window. So what it should do is when it loses focus, and we know when it loses focus because usually you click on it. Because if you don't click on it, usually things don't look good, and it should automatically switch over. I need more coffee. Just give me a second. Okay, well, now you know why I hate programming on stream. There's a lot of different concerns. It's why I find programming off stream so much easier because I can just focus on the programming aspect. It's specifically the show running part that I cannot multitask. I'm really bad at multitasking. Let's just write down what we need to do before I forget. Let's just do all this. Well, not this. We'll do it like this. We'll do like this. Okay, we'll just do like a, I don't know, like a to do. I don't know, like a, what's this thing called? It's like a. What's that thing? Idea? It's like an idea board. It's like the same concept as an idea board, a whiteboard. This is like the whiteboard of ideas, and then we'll do like the actual to-do list up here. Okay, so I do the paddle prefab with center that can be programmatically found for look at for aiming. So specifically, this is the paddles themselves hooked up to input. The center of the paddles, slash the hole, so things can be aimed at it. And an easy way to reference this, and then I guess that's it. That's really it. that's really all there is to it, right? So we just need at least these two things. We need to do the ball physics, which is like, this is pretty much done by the physics engine built in. Just tweak how it feels, I guess. Use a basic sphere for now, but maybe find free 3D ball asset. I mean, make it make it myself. Is it that hard to make a 3D ball? Like, what's it? Surely it's not that hard to find a 3D steel texture. But then if you're finding a 3D steel texture, why not just make the 3D ball? Why not just get a 3D ball texture, like a 3D ball model? Like, if you're gonna go through the trouble of finding a really nice texture, you might as well just go through the trouble of finding a really nice ball. Just balls. So ball physics, and then I don't know, like a test scene with a test lifetime thing that automatically culls balls when they fall below 0. Is it Z? I'm pretty sure it's Z. When they fall below 0, Z equals 0. To test playing and have the balls just drop on the paddles constantly. With a slight, I don't know, random touch to it, if that makes sense. And then a basic standard pinball level built out in Hammer and imported into the scene itself. Also, check out if that scene editor thing they mentioned in that one news article is actually out. I have no clue if it is out, so we'll see that. I think that's a good enough thing. And then, if we can implement the first effect, ball splitter. So there's gonna be no enemies. We just build a ball splitter, and we'll see how it works. Collision rules for phased and unphased contact are set up. Affect solid for gameplay. So I'll explain this in a bit. Once we get to this point, I'll explain it. Affect phased for gameplay solidity, which differs from always solid default tag. Affect phase for things that should phase through only affect solid tagged objects. Double check that they, not double check. Set up a listener of sorts for it to determine when to stop phasing the balls. And the reason for this is when you split the balls. So okay, when you split the balls, curate n number of copies of balls per component definition at the same location as the original ball, ensuring they phase through each other, and apply a random direction tilt to them within the same general hemisphere, which is, I don't even know how to begin doing this, because I can't even, like, I'll get into this. In the same general hemisphere, and apply a random direction tilt to them within the same general random hemisphere, keeping the same velocity the original ball had. So basically, when all the balls spawn on top of each other for the ball splitter, if you just have the physics engine running, they'll just kind of pop off each other really quick and they'll kind of explode, right? I kind of don't want that. I know other games do this where they just let it impact and let the engine resolve it, but in doing so, you have this level of unclarity and inconsistency where it's moving at a certain speed and all of a sudden it just speeds up out of nowhere. And sometimes it speeds up a lot, sometimes it speeds up a little. It all depends on how the physics gets resolved. It may even clip off scene in entirely. I don't really know. So I don't really want to do that and run into those issues. We have to figure out how not to have this happen. So I figured just have them phase until they stop colliding each other. But collision is a physics concern, so we need to do that check otherwise. You can use Pythagorean theorem to solve this, and I'll get into that, but it's going to be weird. We have to implement this. There's also, actually, I was just thinking about this. When moving the ball, see if we can keep the forward vector always facing the direction it's moving. Oops, wrong thing. When moving the ball, sure, okay. Can we constrain the physics to only work in 2 dimensions? Or does it end up losing a bunch of calculations by doing this? Basically, can I make it only work in a couple axes, or do you have to simulate in all 3, or does it lose something? Further, how do we ensure nothing can clip out of bounds along the forward axis? I forget what the name of this. There's like horizontal, vertical, forward. I feel along the forward axis, forward y-axis. So like, how do you constrain the movement? How do you get the physics to calculate off of just that, off of just the 2 axes of x and z? X and z. Math. Yeah, math. It's actually a really cool trick. So basically, I'll just explain it. If you want to know whether or not something is within, if you want to know whether or not a point is within a sphere, you can just use Pythagorean theorem, because the radius of a sphere is the hypotenuse of a right-angled triangle. And if you want to know if the point is within it, you can actually just calculate sort of the distance between the point and the thing itself. You can subtract, I think, the distance of the sphere. You can subtract the position of the sphere from the point itself. No, you can subtract the point itself, the position of that from the sphere, to get like a localized relative position, and then you just check that the length of that squared is less than the radius squared. Because based on Pythagorean theorem, if the length is less than it, then it lies inside of the sphere because of the way that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's a really interesting way of applying it, because I would never have thought to apply a Pythagorean theorem to a straight line, but it makes sense that from any straight line you can construct an infinite number of triangles. And you can actually do this. Like, if you just take any straight line and you do like a vector, and you do like a Euclidean scale, x and y, and you do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And you just do it at like any value of like 2 points to form a line. You can always form a right triangle, and you can always calculate whether or not a point lies within it based on that formula. And it's even applicable to multiple higher dimensions. So if you go 4 dimensions, I don't know why you would. You just do the same length squaring, but with that extra dimensional value, and you just keep on going forward and forward and forward. You see why I don't like to program on stream? This was a mistake. This was a mistake. I don't want to have to explain math. You know what this is? When you program at any job, right? They give you a specification and they don't bother you. Do you know why? Because nobody needs to explain it with their words. They explain it in writing. It's weird. Like, I've never had a concept explained to me in words that I wouldn't have preferred within writing. And everyone that I ever worked with really preferred just writing documentation for it and explaining it with like mathematical proofs and like diagrams and stuff versus trying to talk about it. Because when you talk about it, it doesn't sound as cool anymore. But when you write about it, it's a lot more digestible. There's different resources you can pull in to help. Like it's very nice. Streaming programming is a really different way of working. It's strange, but this is good. So we can do the paddles. How do we do input exactly? Actually, and as you can imagine, I forgot everything that we did before. So this is all sort of from scratch. But maybe it's better because then we don't have all this like cruft in the way. So if I do like I don't know paddle, yeah, we'll just do a basic paddle. Oh, and also. Apply spin paddle around pivot, spin paddle around pivot at base of paddle on input. So this is easily done via I think parenting. Yeah, easily done via node parenting plus applying torque. But when applying torque, how to determine what direction the torque should be applied towards and on which thing. Because if it has to spin, the direction depends on the thing, you know what I mean? Like it's yeah, if that makes sense. Maybe always assume up and just have it literally rotate with the up vector always matching the face of the paddle. That's probably the easiest way. Because when you're applying the torque and you want to spin it around, like if you apply the torque and you want to spin it around, like if you have like this is your paddle and you have this is your pivot point. You can't spin, like you can't rotate this thing because if you rotate this thing, you can actually see it. It rotates like this. This is actually a great example of this. Like you can't rotate this. You need to rotate the pivot point because when you rotate the pivot point, this will simply move around like this. But because it's parented, this thing will just follow it kind of like this in a larger circle. It'll sweep around. But hopefully we can spin this around such that the up vector, which is whatever this thing is pointed at, is always perpendicular. Is it perpendicular or is it parallel? It's always parallel with the surface of the paddle, or at least the general surface of it, such that we can always just say, okay, apply torque at an angle perpendicular to the up vector, and you'll always sort of get a perfect smooth circular motion. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean. I don't know if I know what I mean. Do I know what I mean? Actually, it kind of does make sense though. I mean, you always assume I just have it literally rotate with always facing, thus applying the torque to the cross vector. What? No, to the perpendicular of the up direction, which is the cross vector, I think. Not sure. I'm pretty sure it's the cross vector. Cross vector, I think. Not sure. Has to also check if if how the cross vectors work within like a 3D space. Not sure. also have to normalize it to 2D space, basically. Okay, cool. So okay, so that's done. So when applying torque and then do it like this, you easily spin the paddle around. And then there's another thing too where you have to like have maximum angle at which it can move and stop applying torque immediately because this is just the way engines work. If moving by physics but modifying by transform, everything gets a little wonky. So just cancel out the existing angular velocity with the same but the inverse, and it should immediately stop and keep it held there somehow. I don't know how to. The problem is, how do you hold it there? But so maybe hold it there by disabling gravity at that point. I don't really know. Maybe always disable gravity so that I can ensure the drop speed of the paddle and the up speed are the same. So spin around. This is here. Ensure drop speed of paddle and up speed of paddle are the exact same for game feel, because this is how pinball feels like IRL. Yeah. By applying the same velocity but opposite and not have to account for gravity. Okay, so maybe it's just that, which I'm pretty sure you can do because it's pretty sure this is a setting on the physics collider. I'm pretty sure. Or something like that. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. At maximum angle, so you gotta do that for the swing the paddle. Like, it seems simple, but then as you break it down, there's more. And I remember I actually wrote comments about this. Did I? Yeah, how do we ensure we aren't overrunning the constraints a bit? Yeah, angular velocity, yeah, so I actually did this, but I didn't test this yet. If you're rotating the pivot point, what is a cross vector? Cross vector. No, god damn it. Not Christian cross royalty free vector. What is this? Cross product. Don't search up cross vector. Christian cross royalty free. Cross. Hey, Khan Academy. There we go. I like Khan Academy. They make things simple for P-brains like me. Here we go. Oh no, I don't know, man. Like, can I just strictly necessary? It's so goddamn bright. Why, dude? Why is 40% of your website optional banners? I can't read this. The font size is so large, dude. It's like there's shit everywhere. Khan, what are you doing, man? Oh my god. Okay, property is the cross product. Like the dot product is the operation between two vectors. What's the dot product again? Wait, no, dot product is like actually it's when you combine vectors. Cross, yeah, cross is the perpendicular. It's always perpendicular to the thing. The problem is what is... Oh, it has a 3D example. Oh, good. I just forget how this actually plays out and what exactly you have to do to get one specific axis. Because say you have this rule, right? I want to get the cross product of the forward vector, but in the positive y-axis or something. Like, if it's the left paddle, we probably want it with the negative... You know what I mean? Like here, like it's... Okay, so here, left paddle, this thing is going to go up into here, right? So you want the negative of the x-axis. So you need the cross product to be the negative of this, but then the positive of this, and of the up direction. Yeah, it's kind of confusing. Anyways, paddle, left pivot. Actually, maybe just pivot, paddle, left. Just pivot left, pivot right. Okay, let me just. I'm pretty sure you just parent it like this. I'm pretty sure this will work. How do I how do I mute this thing? How do I stop the sounds in this thing? How do I stop the debug? Help! No, how do I stop the sounds in this editor? I don't want to hear any sounds. It's so loud. That's notification pop-ups. Fast hot load. How do I stop sounds? I don't want error sounds. I know I'm doing errors. You don't have to tell me. I know I'm bad. I know I'm bad. Stop it. How do you actually like? What's a good way to move this around? I don't know. I don't know. It's like -100. Oh, there we go. I know I'm bad. And this thing has to be at the end or something. So we'll just go. I don't know, 100. These two are basically the same length, right? So let's do like 160. Let's go like there. And then okay. So the other one's gonna be 0060. 160 0 0. There we go. And then we gotta do pivot right, pivot left, pivot. And I'm pretty sure if we do this correctly, yeah. And then once you can rotate this, for instance, yeah. See that? So now it pivots along like a whole different thing. See that? That's the kind of that's why you parent it, so you can do the pivot kind of like that. So it actually works like a paddle. And that's why you only do the rotation on the pivot itself. And you see how the up direction, right? It's always facing up. You then need the cross product, but the negative of the cross product to go towards the left side for the left paddle, and conversely the opposite for this. Or you just rotate the pivot so it's always looking the right way. Like you see how the pivot's kind of like this? I could have just rotated the pivot here beforehand by 90 degrees, and you always do it that way. And then the code doesn't have to care about the orientation. The code can just handle the one operation, and then you can do the rest of the transformations by modifying the prefab base. Maybe that's an easier way, actually. Maybe just... Sorry, I think the undo button is a bit broken. They did mention that their undo system is currently going through some changes, so see how it goes. But there we go. So okay, so like this. Why is it now up a bit? Well, 0, 0. Okay, so now you see what I mean? Like that's why the pivots are nice. So maybe this, I just need to rotate this. I need to flip it. I just feel I don't know axes. Like this? No, it's this. Yeah, it's like this. How do I mirror this basically? How do I mirror this so it's like the opposite? Oh, I guess I just do 180. Okay, there we go. All right, so maybe my code doesn't even have to handle the mathematics of like pivoting it differently. Because then this would just apply a forward value to the x. Like, the math of the code could always apply a forward value to this rotation. And then this one could also be the same. Of, like, always a forward. And they just kind of open naturally. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's good. All right. Yeah, it's good. And I guess, like, -20 for default. What do pinball paddles even look like? Step 1 of making a game in an existing genre. Maybe play a game from the genre to remind yourself. We need... Do paddles go down by default, or do they go up a bit? I don't know. Which pinball game do you guys want to play? What's like the most... What's like the highest score pinball game? Zombie vs pinball. All right, let's just... Or like the most plays. Doula ball. Play for the peeps in this midwife expired. What does this mean? What does that mean? What? It's 2 stars, has 2.5 million plays. Midwife inspired. What does that even mean? Pinball game with creepy vibe. Labor is a normal part of human reproduction, but this flash deals with it in a strange way. If any game screams old school Newgrounds, it's something like this. A pinball machine themed around labor. The theme, art, and voices are cheesy and loose. No mute bottom. Wow, pretty funny game. What is this? Well, this made me smile. Why is this under the mature section if it's 13 plus? Oh shit, this is the mature section? Well, it says teen. I never win this game. Incredibly buggy, wonky physics. What does this even mean? This okay, well, let's just okay, well this is what even is this? I can't show you yet. We can't play this. I can't show you this. I cannot. Jesus fucking Christ! I cannot show you this. Oh my Jesus Christ! Okay, well, chat. I cannot show you this. This is what? Oh my God! So to describe what I'm looking at, and yes, the pinball paddles are on the floor initially. It is a series of outlines of penises and an anatomically correct uterus and vaginal cavity, upon which a pinball enters. The pinball is sperm. And you play the two vaginal pincer walls on the side, like at the opening of the labia to try and like tighten or open it to like, and those are your paddles. Okay, well, good thing I didn't play that on stream. You had a hint of what was going on, and by the way, there was a baby that was being born the entire time. Okay, well, we're not gonna make a pinball game like that. We're gonna, Jesus Christ. Okay, well, now we know what pinball is really like. Okay, so this is easy then. So maybe I don't even need this. I just need the cross product, and I don't really care what it comes up with because it's all the same value. Okay. I do a lot, you know. It's you know how like the developers of The Last of Us looked at gore photos to see how people's bodies blew up? Same thing. Basically the same thing as me, but different. You know what I mean? Is a cross product even worth it to calculate? Like how cross product performance is it? How do we? Is there like versus dot product or something? I don't know. Like is it cheaper? Is it cheaper? Yeah, fuck it. I'm just do it. Let's do the cross product thing. And I just need to figure out. So instead of this, I already have the like torque thing. You apply torque. You have the angular velocity. Apply torque. We have the power thing over here. Max rotation is that. Max rotation. If it's at that point, it stops it by applying the inverse. We need the cross product of this. So here's the cross product. If this and the vectors are linearly independent of one. What? Oh, right, because the cross product. Yeah, because you need, right, in the 3D space, you need two, because the cross is the perpendicular. So it'd be the up and the forward to get the horizontal, which is that one, right? Wait, which one's the forward again? Sorry, I'm so confused on which one's which. I need the cross product of what? If I want the Y, I need the X and the Z. This the Z is the up. So the Z is always the up, and the Y. Yeah, so Z and X. Okay, cool. So up, cross. Is X forward? Or is X horizontal? I don't know. Transform. Oops. Ugh. I was also looking into actually the wait, forward, left, right. I was looking into different ways to program in C#. Rider was just the one that I chose on because C# is a surprisingly complicated language to program in. You can't use stuff like NeoVim because the language server is not necessarily cooked yet. Microsoft is still building the new one based on Roslyn, but it's not ready yet. And so the ecosystem really falls down into you have to use either Visual Studio or Rider. That's why we're here. Is it the right? How do I know what this value is? Can I just go here and check it? Yeah, I can. What exactly is this rotation dot right? Vector 3 dot right times this, right? Is that? Oh, you can't even see it. Sorry. Wait, what? Oh my god. There we go. So this is X, Y, Z. I'm pretty sure. X, Y, Z. Y positive versus Y negative. Right is minus. What? Wait, y is minus. What? Wait. Oh. So when I'm looking at this, the x is the forward? What's the forward vector, actually? What's the forward is the x positive. Oh, so this is the forward. Oops. Okay, so if I just take all these and I just redo all this. So if I just do okay, we'll do whoop, whoop. We'll do I don't know why this thing's off now. Well, whoop, minus 100, sure. Because this is the forward, technically, and this is 0. Paddle left, da 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 da. Okay, well now, okay, we'll just. So everything is okay. So that's the red is the forward. Sorry, I'm just very confused sometimes by coordinate systems. I don't really get coordinate systems very often. Oh, this is it, right? Because forward, what? Forward is positive. So should I be looking at it like this? I guess I should be. But then, what's positive, negative, left, right? What's left? Left is positive y. What? What? Wait, left goes positive, right goes negative? What? Sorry. Every time I deal with a coordinate system, like my brain kind of breaks because I never understand coordinate systems. I always have this problem no matter what I do. Even like plain mathematics, I always need to like reorient myself. Or if I'm doing stuff that involves like your like screen display, monitor coordinate system starts from like a different origin of like bottom left. There's a lot of different systems. Or if you do graphics programming on the web, it's like normalized device coordinates, so it's like 0 at the center, and then it's different in different things. Everything's a mess. Everything's a mess. Okay, but this makes sense. So like this. Okay, yeah. Anyways, how is everyone here? Hopefully you're all programming too. Because if you're not programming, and I'm the only one programming, then again, you've effectively psyoped me into doing all this for the heck of it. Like basically, you're hurting me. Intentionally. And if anything, this is probably the best time to do like a co-working stream, if that makes sense, right? I like to think of this as you're at work, I'm not at work, but I'm basically going to do work for the heck of it. And we just kind of both co-work. Though there is a certain thing where it's like, it's not really the same as working, technically, because I'm just doing whatever that I want to do. So, you know, there's that, but... Oh, I'm in the wrong scene, am I? Why can't I see any of the tools? What did I press to stop viewing the things? Oh no. What did I press to stop viewing the things? What are my hotkeys? Where preferences? Scene view. Hide. Backface. No. Oh, there's hotkeys to align down. Huh. Move to grid, control plus B. How do I actually show the tools again? Toggle grid, control G. Shared with mesh select ribs. I don't really care about ribs. Cycle, toggle gizmos is T and shift G. What? Global space? G. Those are gizmos. But I'm still missing exactly those little... I thought the gizmos would also include the things that you see that it's those handlebars to move things. W-E-R. W is position tool, R is rotate tool. Oh, right. Object mode. Right. Okay. Sorry. Now it makes sense. So like that. There we go. And this is, I don't know, like sorry. Actually, there was one time that I did watch somebody do like a co-working stream, and it was funny because I was watching them do it, and they also had the same issue, where they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop getting distracted by everything. So presumably, co-working streams are just a very complicated thing to do, no matter what. Like it's just because all of your all of your attention, you're so busy doing the thing that it's impossible for you to do anything else. And really, it kind of makes me wonder. My old manager, he has this thing. He's actually he's gonna call me in 5 months. He's gonna call me in 5 months. He was like, "Hey, I'm a part of this group where we call each other every couple of days to see if we're done things." He was like, "You want in? I can ease you into it." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds kind of cool." It's like if somebody else is waiting for you and they're gonna call you and they're gonna be like, "Hey, are you done the thing?" It motivates you to finish it, right? But I'm like, man, they do it every day. So like they're on call for 6 hours per day as they work at their own jobs. And I'm like, how do you not just get distracted by people doing their own things? I don't know. But he's gonna do that to me in about 6 months, so we'll see how it goes. Anyways, yeah, okay. So this is on that. This is on that. I'm pretty sure this would still work. So yeah, no wait. So we just rotate based on this. Put this. Sorry, put this on the positive or on the negative now. I guess it doesn't really matter. And this on the this on the negative as well. Okay, so this and this on the negative to go up and down. What? Negative to go up and down. Why? Why is it negative to go up and down? That's complicated. Why don't we just rotate this again? We rotate it again so it's simple, right? Oh wait, is it because of this? No, it's not because of that. It doesn't matter if it's minus or positive. There we go. No, that's just stupid. It's gonna fuck up the whole up direction thing. It's just gonna mess up the whole up direction thing. But then how come? Maybe maybe it is about like that way. I'm trying to think of like how the math would actually play out. So if you have the up direction and then you apply the value, you'd have to like invert the value for some reason. That becomes confusing. Why is positive? Wait, is this because of this? Up is positive, down is negative. But not for rotation? I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, you know what? Make it easy for myself. Oh, you know what? It's just a paddle. I can just move the paddle around and have it rotate differently. And then this thing can just rotate. Wait, sorry, not the paddle. Not this. Oops. Do positive. I'm gonna do 180. There we go. Yeah, you know what? Mathematically, let's just make it go like this. It's easier. I don't want to deal too much with the math. I don't really get why it's that. I don't really know. As you can tell, my math background is very weak, and so all of this is sort of like arcane to me in many ways. I only know about the application of mathematics, but not necessarily the theory of why Euclidean space acts the way that it does, and what rotations ultimately end up being like. It's very hard to sort of conceptualize, and thus I lack that sort of intuitive picture of what it all is. I lack a lot of the intuitive picture. Where are you? Okay, so the center is going to be here, and then these... And basically, sorry, so the idea behind the paddles, right? This is sort of a thing that I've seen in the pinball. The center of the hole is a dead zone, where nothing you can do can reach it, and so you're guaranteed to die if it goes straight down. So, I don't know if that's going to be fun, but if we angle the enemies such that they're always at a certain angle, so that they can never shoot straight down at you, you should always be able to react to it with enough skill. Like if you know to like pick to like push your paddle up if it's past a certain or if it's at a certain point, you can always hit it at the very extent of your paddle at a certain angle. So anything going straight down, it's a win or like it's a guaranteed loss. But if all attacks come at an angle, I think you always have an angle at which it works. Maybe. Except for maybe like this. Like this is probably the kill angle, and you can probably lower this depending on how small the gap it is that you make, but I don't know what the size of the ball is yet, so I just want to get to the point where we actually move these paddles around. But presumably this works now, so if I just go like this, I don't know if should I just duplicate this? Let's just prefab this, I guess. I don't know. Paddle. Son of a gun. How do you... Oh. Ah. And then we gotta do, I don't know, paddle. And then we gotta do, then you convert this into a prefab, I'm pretty sure. There's an old one. If I just replace it, does that matter? I don't know. Seems like it's fine. I don't know. Ooh, but then now there's a problem where the origin is a bit off. Does that matter? Wait, does it matter that the origin of this is over here? I don't think it does. Does that matter? Also, why is the origin off? What? I don't get it. Whatever. Huh? Minus 320. Wait, yeah, it's completely off. Wait, what? Uh-oh. Let's go over here. Let's go all the way over here. Uh-oh. What in the... What in... What in God's name is going on? So, this should be at 0. This should be at 160. That should be at minus 160. How come... The prefabs... How does it translate the prefab position into the world position when you actually put it into your scene? Because now it's off over here. But then it's fine over there. So maybe we do it like this and like this. So it's always... Okay, so maybe it's fine. If I add this again, what happens? How do you add a prefab? Oh, just drag it. I think. How do you add a prefab? How do you prefab? How do you... I don't know. How do you add a prefab? Oh, I know. Foo, and then prefab. Okay, well, I lied. How did the prefab? Man, I feel like I'm stupid. Oh, you know what? There's a lot that we can get from reading documentation. Always read. Always read. Scene system. Sure. Hey, hey, here we go. Okay, cool. In the scene view, instantiation is made by prefab. Spawn prefabs at runtime and code. You want to edit the prefab, you can click unlink from prefab. What? They can't be edited significantly while they're there. Yes, makes sense. And they can reference in a component anywhere a game object can reference when the prefab file is updated. What? If you want to add your own templates to the game object create menu, it's as simple as, oh, enabling show and menu on a prefab file. Oh. 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 That's interesting. That's weird. I don't know what? That's weird. Oh. What? What? Oh. It has a whole different category? What? What? Why is it like this? Wait, how do I get it like this? How do I get it like this? What? Convert to No, I don't want to convert to prefab. I just want to use this. How do I just... Oh! You drag it into the scene. So show and menu is a whole... What? Sorry, it's just... What? That doesn't make any sense. Why... What? So what's the point of... Look at this. Show and menu. You do this. You add the paddle. It's a whole collection of them. Not like this. It's not like an instance of a prefab, right? You drag it in. It works to have the thing. It's fine. You drag it over here. It doesn't work. I don't know why. These are technically the same thing. Or, well, sorry. These are conceptually the same thing. This pane and this pane are basically the same thing. It's a representation of your scene and what's in it. But why is this even the option to deconstruct it as a bunch of game objects? I don't really get it. I would have maybe thought you could do this and it's shown in the menu so you can do it like this. Or maybe there's a separate prefab section. I don't know. It's very kind of confusing. Okay, well, we know how to do prefabs now. Now we gotta do this. So this is the cross angle, and we do the cross angle for the right. The right is... Oh god, the right is what again? Sorry. Is right positive or is it negative? And also, how come this thing never likes to stay on the file? I'm assuming this is the right... Wait, is it the right? Oops, I lost it. There we go. Yeah, right is the negative, and then the positive. Right. I'm assuming this should be fine. We always just go towards the right side, and it should be okay. So I'm assuming it's fine. Just do basic paddle. Okay, so this should always be the same, and it should always be cross product the same no matter what. So maybe we do. Actually, maybe we just always do this. This tertiary could be like this. This is a bit annoying, but times. There we go. Yeah, let's see if this works. I have no clue if this works. Also, pretty frustrating that I can't go into this full screen mode without it breaking. It's weird. Or maybe just don't do it full screen. That works. Yeah, here we go. Good. Perfect. Now if I modify this, does it update back over there? I have no clue. Okay, sure. Minimum rotation, I don't know. What's like a good minimum rotation? I can't really tell. Okay, wrong one. I guess it'd be like minus 20, or 20, I guess. Wait, what? Oh, because it reflipped everything back. What? Uh... Okay, so minus 20. I have no clue if this will work. I have no clue. Why is this at 180? Oh, wait. I know why it's at 180. It's because of the way that it calculates things. Right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the way that it calculates things. Yeah. It's because in Euler angles, you can sort of like construct it the same way with multiple of the same angles. Like it's 180 on the x-axis is the same as 180 on this axis. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Right? Or am I crazy? Or did I just do the wrong thing? No, that makes sense. It's why it modifies the rest of it. I don't know. I'm missing a lot of math background to make this work, but let's just assume that, yeah, we just do it like this. And that way it's like, okay, well what the minus value is. So it's like minus 200 for the minimum rotation. So basically the floor that it can go to, the max rotation is like what? I don't know. How far do pinball games even let you raise their paddle? I guess I wouldn't even want to... I don't want to play that pinball game again that we just played. That one kind of freaked me out. They're probably like here, right? Let's say like 135. It seems like a lot. We'll do 130. We'll just try 130, see how it feels. So 130. Yeah, there we go. And then, oh god, the values are getting crazy. So 160. It should be minus 200. I don't know why that changed. I don't know what that means by... Oh, because it's technically... I'm pretty sure 160 is the same as that. Yeah, it's because... it's the same representation. As long as I get the number incorrectly the first time, it doesn't matter. This power thing, I don't even know if I should really show this. Like, I don't even know if it's worth it to show this. And this is active thing, this temporary effect thing to show if it's currently staying up. I don't know if it's worth it. I just added it because I figured maybe I could use it at some point to listen to it, but I'm not sure if I should. But the power thing, I don't want any upgrades that just push the power of your paddle. It's kind of boring. But whatever, let's do like 10. And this is the same thing, I guess, like, yeah, whatever it is, minus 120. Minus 200, minus 130. So I'm making a thing, you see. Yeah, I'm making a thing. Yeah. It's the thing that you saw, or the thing that I've been talking about the entire week. It's a thing that the chat has been psyoping me into making the entire week, basically. It's been very painful. Now, I'm curious if this actually updates it. Like, if I unlink from prefab, does it have everything? It does. Interesting. Okay, so yeah, this should update fine then. Yeah, I've been psyoped by chat into making this, so we'll see how it goes. How do you do input? I know there's like a pane where you enter in all your input stuff over here. Wrong one. You need to go into scene. Oh no, project. Wait, no, this is it. Yeah, slot 0. What? I don't give a shit about tax. No. Actions. Reload. No. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. And how are you, chat? How are you today on this fine day? I saw you got your computer room set up. Computer room looks kind of cool. And fellow multi-monitor enjoyer. I will say having the webcam always pointing at you does make me a little worried though. I always, whenever I'm done using my webcam, I throw it to the floor and I point it towards like a very dark zone so that anyone trying to spy on me doesn't see anything. I only need inventory. How do I just delete all these on the mess? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so the idea is a pinball roguelike. And it all started because of the roguelike Minesweeper. And I'm honestly kind of losing my mind programming on stream. I kind of hate programming on stream. It's a very, very painful way of doing things. I just forgot how annoying programming on stream is. What? Reset the default. Oh, shit. Clear. Oh, perfect. Clear. Oh, great. How do I change the category? Wait, how do you change the category? I guess you can't change the category. How do you change the category? Is there a way into the documentation? Oh, input. Here we go. Oh, nice. Nothing. How do you change the category? Escape key. Well, show the pause when your player presses the escape key. You can override this functionality. If you override the escape button, it'll be up to you to let the user access settings in your own menu system. N. I don't know what that means. Sure, okay. How come you can't just set the category of this? Left paddle. You're gonna make it with 3D up the arse? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? 3D up the arse? Sorry, I don't know what that means. Oh, also, controversial opinion for the controls. Left paddle, left click. Right paddle, right click. The reason why I'm going to be doing it with the left and right click is because I want to make a paddle eventually that's just a fist. We get to charge it. Has a minimum charge time, but you can move it much more freely. And so it's like harder to use, but you get more power from it. And you can't react as fast, but it allows you to get way stronger with it. Oh, you mean that I'm making it in 3D instead of 2D? Yeah, because I see no real difference. Like, presumably, if you can do everything in 3D and you can just get the physics engine to only calculate off of 2 axes, it's going to be the exact same thing anyways, as if you were doing it within 2D. Which makes sense. Because then it's like, it should just work. It was a reference to Yahtzee's review on Peggle. I'm sorry, chat. That's like me saying, oh, by the way, rest in peace to the raccoon. And I go, okay, well, that was a reference to the Toronto Star reporting on the dead raccoon memorial that we had within Toronto. It's like, I don't know that. What kind of, that is not a reference. That is not a reference. That is not. There's no way that that's a reference that anybody can understand. It's impossible. You would have better luck referencing a random page on Wikipedia than a specific review. Have I heard of zero punctuation? No, chat. You're not getting it. Even if you've heard of the newspaper, how do you know what specific article it comes from? You're referencing a specific video. It is their review. It is their review on specifically Peggle. I would not be able. There's nobody is gonna know then. Internet was small. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I was there back then. It's all the same. This is the problem with. Okay, I'm gonna. You're now the second chatter that I'm gonna talk. You're now the second chatter that I'm going to say this to. If you throw references out there and you expect people to understand them, it is folly. It is a foolish endeavor. because references are impossible to truly understand because you will always find someone who has never seen it. It doesn't matter how large or how small it is. It matters specifically whether or not you've seen it in the wave of things. It is literally impossible. You're the second chatter that I'm gonna have to go on this with. I would never have guessed Yahtzee's review of on Peggle as a reference for what you typed. Because like, let's say the internet was smaller, right? And so there's less things to watch. It also means that there was less people watching it at that time. And I've seen a lot of the internet. Like I know Numa Numa. I saw that shit when it dropped. But like I'm not gonna know Yahtzee every single video that they've made. It's like I know the angry video game nerd, but I don't know every single video that they've watched either. I know Red Letter Meteor. I don't know every single video that they've made. It's like it's impossible. I'm gonna start throwing down like obscure references. I'm gonna be quoting like pages from books like from the Children of Men, from like a one specific page off of like a throwaway sentence. It just means you're not a true fan. You're so true for that. How about this? How about we just stop streaming and we just go watch Yahtzee? Does Stephanie Sterling still make videos? She does, right? Wait, who is the zero punctuation? Was it Sterling or was it someone else? Oh no, it was Yahtzee. Well, right, their name was literally Yahtzee. Sorry, sorry, I forgot that Yahtzee was not the name of the show. He was just called Yahtzee. He's developed and released over 24 games. Wait, what? He's made games? When did he make games? What? He made games? What? I didn't know Yahtzee made the games. The games were funny? Really? Wow. He's also written books. Holy shit. I've never known this about him. Huh. I always thought he was just a video guy. Because I was thinking to myself, yeah, I've only ever seen him within zero punctuation until they sold out. Because I do remember zero punctuation eventually sold out and he was like pushed out, no? But it's like, I just didn't expect there to be games with it too, or like that he made games and the books. In a way, he's more qualified than me. You've listened to his audiobooks too, which he narrated himself. Okay, see, this is the problem. Your references belong to an audience of maybe 100. I'm gonna tell you right now. I want to see the sales numbers of these books. How many copies have been sold? There's no way. There is no way that more than 100 people have like read this book. There's no way. Not to say that his writing is bad. It's just I would have never. What the fuck is this? Exhaustion from having sex with a minor? What book did he make? Chat, what are you reading? What the fuck is this? What are you reading, chat? What are you reading? This is under his bibliography. Exhaustion from having sex with a minor. What are you reading? What is this? Archive.org. Machine of Death, a collection of stories about people who know how they will die. You have no idea what this is. Okay, well, if I show you this, do you know what this is? This is an excerpt from the book. Machine of Death, a collection of stories about people who know how they will die. Or apparently alternately titled Exhaustion from Having Sex with a Minor. Oh. So that's what kind of a person you are, eh? Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Yahtzee, but he's making some weird stuff, man. Oh man. Oh man. Well, now we know. Thank you for showing me Yahtzee. Mods ban them. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. With the keyboard only. But yeah, basically, sorry, going back to this. Left click, right click for the paddles. Because when you have the fist, I want you to be able to move your mouse around so that you see the fist moving around and you can sort of see it whatchamacallit. So you can see it wait, I actually need to do wait, let me just close this so I don't accidentally show it. I need to do one. Sorry, there's one more window that I need to add. S-box settings. There we go. It's one more window. Sorry. Because I want to be able to do different types of paddles and even different types of gameplay, and you can just choose which one you want. It's very much like a normal roguelike. Because I think that's fun. I think if you do it like that as a roguelike thing, I think it's fun in that way. That's not in his books by Yahtzee Crosshar. Okay. Well, why is it on here? Why is it over here? Why is this in his bibliography? What even is his real name? Benjamin Richard Crosshar. Okay. Bibliography. North Rhine, Bernardo Matthew. Machine of Death. Yacht. Look. 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 Is a collection of science fiction short stories by Ryan North, Matthew Bernardo, and David Melky. And guess who's credited for making the story Exhaustion from Having Sex with a Minor by Ben Yahtzee Crosshar and Cameron Stewart. Look! This is your Oshi? I'm just kidding. I mean, it's probably like you can see how this book is like done, right? It's like HIV infection from Machine of Death Needle. It's probably just like a satire piece of like what happens with people in like power or something. Probably it's a satire of like power dynamics and like stuff and like statutory, grape and stuff like that. But presumably that's what it is. But still, it was just funny that you see this here. Yeah, exactly. Like if he writes comedies and it's a book about sci-fi like short stories and it's comedic, then it makes sense. It's just a form of satire. The Times Herald Records Jim Higgins described the story as a talky tale of political intrigue that could be straight out of Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, with a snappy twist at the end that O. Henry might appreciate. Again, I'm curious how the title relates to everything. How does the title relate to what's going on there? You know what I mean? Like, how does the title really? What happens? What happens with the title there? You know what I mean, chat? What happens with the title there? You should read it then. I'm not reading that. That's putting me on a list. I'm not gonna read that. That's gonna put me on a list, and you'll never see me again, chat. How about you read it and you tell us how it goes? I don't want to read it. Let's not deal with that. I'm not reading that. Oh God, I forget how annoying the line length limits are. Okay, so sorry, it's just funny. It's just funny to think that we had that there. Oh man, that is funny. That's actually funny. Thank you for showing me that. I hate it. Collider. We need a collider. We'll do like a box collider. Same with this thing. We'll do a box collider. I realized actually that we don't actually need to disable any gravity for it, quote unquote, because these can just be manually controlled by applying the forces to it. So there's actually no need to stop gravity and stuff. So if I look over here, so this is already done. This is done. This is probably done. And this is probably going to be fine if I let go. At least I know the focus on the relevant. So true. I'm so good at just looking at things and being like, how did my eyes immediately look at that and go, what is this? But I think that's exactly what the story is like trying, right? Because again, Isaac Asimov, his books are very much interesting because a lot of it, in many ways, the way that it plays out is just like tragic comedy of sorts with a weird shock value to it. Like if you read, I think it was it The Martian? No, it wasn't. There was one about like a space moon like freak house where some doors would lead to your death. And I remember reading it and I was going, what in the world is this? Like it was just so strange and yet so bewildering and yet so interesting. So if you take the review at at face value and you assume that yes, it's all correct, then it makes sense as to why it's titled that way, because it's aiming for that same type of feeling of like, what in the world is going on? Asimov wishes he could have written those kinds of titles for his books. Well, I'm pretty sure he probably saw the backlash from his probably contemporary, the guy who wrote Lolita, right? And he was probably like, yeah, I'm not even gonna touch that with a 10 foot to pole, yeah. And I mean, probably for the better, people have misconstrued that book as being like for it, which is fucking weird, and like the movie posters for it are weird too. When it's like the entire book is about somebody who has like a whatchamacallit, like an unreliable narrator POV like this. It makes sense. Input. Okay, so we have to check for the input down and input up. Okay, so maybe how do we want to do input? You know what? This is where it's handy. We can actually do this thing where we can actually. Can I do it over here? There's actually this thing where there's a visual graph deal where you can hook things up with their visual graph thing. The problem is I don't know if you can do that in this way. Like, how do you do it in such a way that how do you hook up the input to prefab events and signals that are separately on its own without modifying the prefab, if that makes sense? Here, like, let's expose a function. Maybe not this. Maybe not on the fixed update. Let me do like well, I guess is active is probably the best way to do it, and then you just modify is active. Well, so we have this like getter setter for the is active, right? You can actually do this. I'm pretty sure there's a way to. There's like a visual, yeah, actions. Wait, is actions gone? It's now legacy. Do legacy actions. What happened to actions? But basically, there's like this visual editor for doing things. So if you want to do an action on this, you would then have this graph to like edit stuff with, which is nice. But now apparently maybe it's not here anymore. Maybe it's just gone. I don't know. I actually can't show you it because it doesn't capture. That's very fun. That's really fun. Yeah, there we go. And you can like hook this up, and then let's say you want to change some property, then you can do that. But how do I do that when it's a prefab without having the prefab just hard code everything? Like, how can I give values to a prefab and just have it work in much the same way? It's weird. I need to go use the washroom. I'll think about this. My brain is hurting. Basically, what I want is a way for me to expose the ability to push the paddles up, left, and up, right on from the prefab, and have a way from wherever I use it to hook it up directly to the input system. I guess it doesn't really matter since the prefab is made for this project, but in a weird way, I kind of wish it was more separated. Just so, let's say you make a cool prefab, and you want to share it with people, and you want to be able to like publish it, right? How do you then allow it to do certain things? Like, how do you allow it to do that? How do you allow it to hook up to certain events? How do you create actions that can hook up to things? Like, it's weird that you can't do that. It's actually very odd. And actually, maybe we can just look at the prefab instance, and maybe there's more information there, but it feels like it's missing something. It's odd. Prefab instance. I'm pretty sure we can just find this. Is prefab instance? What's this? Is prefab instance root? Return. There we go. Prefab source is not null. Prefab source is this. The file name. Oh, okay. Well, it's also just a file name. Because basically, I wish there was a way to make it so that I can expose kind of the same things, almost like an interface by which you would interact with this prefab from your code or from your game objects or from your scene, without having to break it apart and then modify the components directly, which would then lose the changes on this. It doesn't matter for us because it's all a part of the same project. So we can actually just do it and hard code it. It doesn't really matter. But it is something that would be nice to have. That way I don't have to deal with, okay, how do you make it work, if that makes sense? You know what I mean? Also, actually, How do you handle routing input? How do you handle routing any input, actually? Like, can I do it from here directly? I know it's legacy actions, and you shouldn't use this, but let's just say, as an example, if I go into update, for instance, and I want to move it, how do I check the input value here and then update it based on that, based on the update? If, I don't know, if whatever condition is what, I don't know, condition is what, add variable? Input. Oh, look, down or pressed object to string. It's like which of these is like pressed, and it's like, okay, well, system sandbox UI. What? There's always sandbox. What? Component. Type game object. What? This to string. Wait, no. What? Action pressed. Add variable. Game object to string. What? And reroute. What the fuck is this? Sorry, I'm just looking at this. Like, what is this? Oh, here we go. Look at that. Mouse position. No. Inputs? This game object. What? What is all this? Wait, mouse inputs. I can see why they deprecated this. Anyways, we'll not deal with that. We'll just code this in because it's a lot easier. That's a lot easier to deal with within code. With a basic paddle. We'll do it over here on fix. I don't know if I should do the input on fixed update or on update. I'm assuming fixed update because it deals with physics too, and it might be even better over here. So you do it on the beginning of fixed update. You apply the force right before it happens, and you do it based on whether or not it's active, quote unquote. But it's not really active. It's just, is it currently pressed down? So var, I don't know. Oh, but this is the thing. How do I know whether or not this is the left paddle or the right paddle? Maybe we just tell it whether it's a left or right. Maybe we just say position. We say left, right. There's probably a better way to do this elsewhere, but I'm just too lazy to figure this out. This is weird. You know what I mean? Like, how do I explain any of this? I was never good at explaining my mind, but I've gotten worse at it over time too, because my brain gets addled. With old age comes, I say as an almost 30-year-old, comes the realization that your brain no longer works the way that it does, and so you're busy, like you see it in your head, but you can't explain the concept. So you wave your arms around in the hopes that somebody understands you, but they misinterpret it as a go-away sign. Not position. It's like paddle position. There we go. Whatever. And it's like get set, and if it's okay, so and then it's like input var foo equals, what was it, input dot get pressed, and then it's like paddle position equals and then it's like what did I name it? I named it something. What did I name it as? Paddle. How do you translate the name? Wait a minute. How do you translate the name over? Not really much of an easy way to translate the name because the name is like this. Well, so what do you do? It's almost like what you want is like a descriptive name that shows up in your settings, which I guess you do manually with like a translation thing, versus what it is in programmatic terms behind the scenes. So we'll do just pedal left and pedal right. Sure. Let's save. Yeah, sure. Yeah, then you check out the 23 and at the end, paddle left. Oh, right, sorry. One quote is a character, 2 quotes is a string. Yeah, sure. And then okay, there we go. Pressed. And then is active equals pressed. I don't really know if that makes sense. There we go. Don't know. I guess this is only really good, useful for the action graph. Because you can get this value and you can look at it and be like, okay, if it's currently pressed, you can do maybe some special effects from the action graph alone. So I guess we'll just keep this for now, because that's probably going to be useful later when I deal with VFX. I don't really know. Let's just assume that this is fine. I'm going to assume that that's fine. Yeah, okay, so paddle left, paddle right. If you get the thing, if it's pressed down, left click button is pressed down, that should move, otherwise this should move. And then I need to make sure that it's, there's like a validation. Override, probably a way to on-validate. Here we go. What's this? Here we go. If paddle position... Is that how you do null checks within thing? How do you do null checks within C#? Everything that I've learned within this is C#. I just had to learn the language like every now and then, and the more that I learn it, the more that I realize I don't know it. What's like a proper null check? C# proper null check. What's like the best way to check for null? Huh. Oh. Okay, so that's operator overloading, but you can use the keyword is to guarantee that you check for null. Whereas the operator overloaded version, if it's not the default, it might call something that the user has defined. When you might just want to check if it's null, which is. Huh. Okay. I don't know, C a sharp. Is null. What? Why are you mad at me? Oh, because it's a value type. What? Wait. Yeah. No? The result of the expression is always false because a value of type position is never equal to null of type position. What? Also, maybe there's a way to show you all these little things that I see. No, you can't. This is the other reason why I need to make that window capture thing. A lot of the window capture stuff is very annoying because it doesn't show all the different hints on top. That's the other thing that I want to do with the plugin in OBS. Was to show you all those extra bits of windows that other windows can create, all the different overlay type windows. Was it a bad idea to program on stream? Probably. My brain is working at 1,000,000 miles per hour, and I feel like everything hurts. It's like both a mixture of the show running, the programming, the realization that there's so many annoying things you have to look out for because you can't see everything. So I have to like explain these things by reading it out loud. God, that's frustrating. Also, a value of type position is never equal to null of type position question mark. But doesn't the question mark imply that it's an optional value? So it would be null? I don't get it. I guess that's the problem. It's because of the typing within the code. I had to set it exactly to be like that. Okay, so, and then, I don't know, debug.error, or sorry, log.error, I think it was. Wait, how do you actually log in this game? In this thing? You do, this. The logging again? Oh, log, yeah, because, so it is. It's just log.error. Set paddle position. There we go. We'll just leave it here for now. I don't really know what this is. Oh, actually, you can just do assert.not null. Paddle position. There we go. And you can actually just... I'm pretty sure this just works. And you can send a message to it. Okay, good. Oh god, OBS captures when you minimize... Oh no. Set paddle position. There we go. So here... What? Type mismatch. What? No, except for when calling on validate. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Set paddle position. Okay, good. So it does show up, and then I just need to remember. That's going to help me remember to set this for every single paddle. It's going to be annoying later, but it's fine. It's better. Except now it doesn't show up. Why? It's a property, so it should be showing up. But if I add this, now there's two of them. Why are there two of them? Why are there two of them? What? Now there's two of them? The top one has it, but the bottom one doesn't. What? Why are there two of them? What? Oh, oops, this should be pivot left. Pivot right. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Have I messed up the order again? Sorry, just... Positive... Sorry, just give me a second. God damn it, this is so frustratingly... Just, there's so many different things. Okay, so forward is what value on the x-axis? Is this? Yeah, forward is positive on the x-axis. Oh, oops. The naming was correct before. I'm actually backwards. So that's forward. So yeah, that's the right, that's the left. And then when you do positive value, okay, there we go. You do this. I don't know why there's two different ones. I need to replace the component to fix it. That's weird. I wonder if it's because of the addition of the on validate. Does that break anything? I wonder. Actually, what's weird is, oh, it's probably because of this. Because of this optional type. Because that then translates into allowing you to not have it set. Weird. Anyways, that should work. And then I'm pretty sure if we just run this, it should just work. I have no clue if it will, but let's see if it does work. I don't know. Oh, exception when calling. Oops. What? What exception when the calling? Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Task source is already cancelled. What? No, I know the task source is cancelled. Stop it. It's fine. It's okay. So that definitely failed. Huh. Task source is already cancelled. There's something constantly running and it's like dying. And if I try to run it and then I do this and I click around, it's failing on something. I forget how like weird all this stuff is. On line 35. And that opens up my code editor. What? Oh yeah, there's no rigid body. Oops. That makes sense. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Sure. Okay, well, that's too late now. God. I feel like I'm going insane trying to make this work. We need a rigid body for these. Right, because that's the only way that you do the physics. And then I need to actually add in a bunch of things too. So no gravity. Motion enabled. Oh, you can actually lock axes. Okay, so just lock X. That should be good. Rigid body. No gravity. Lock X. Probably lock pitch and yaw too, actually. Start asleep. What? Motion enabled. Oh yeah, there's also mass and stuff too. Is sleeping. Whatever. Okay, see if this works. No. Type mismatch. Expected thing, but found what? Parameter. Action graph. Why is there an action graph? Uh-oh. I've done something wrong. Maybe I should not have used that legacy stuff. That was a bad move. I also don't need this anymore. This collision listener. Or maybe, I wonder if it's even, what if I just delete this and I put it back? What are the odds that it wasn't even updated? No, it's updated. But it doesn't do anything. Because if it equals max rotation, Oh wait, equals. It has to be between the max rotation and the minimum rotation, but it's Euler angle. So how do you know if it's between the two? I see the problem with this code. Like it has to be between minus 130 and 160. But the equivalent of that is like minus 200 and minus 130. But because of the way that it resolves, it goes that way. So how do you... I see my problem. I see my... Wait, no, it should be fine because it's already a rotation, which is a quaternion. So internally, it has the right value. I just need to make sure that it's in between. It's not actually equals. It's not this. Because if I look at this and I go log info, ha ha ha, it's like here. It's probably happening there. That's why it's not moving. And I go like this and I check the console. It's probably going like ha ha ha. So the problem is that you're missing value for required parameter. What? What does it even mean? Yeah, see, that definitely works. And if I go over here and I look at this and I go, okay, this, and I look at this and I look at pressed, and maybe there's something broken over here. I'm not really sure. We just look at this. No, it definitely works. Yeah, okay, so it's just something here. What? It's specifically this check. Expected system string, but found nothing. It doesn't go inside here. It actually goes over here. So it should be applying torque at this point, but it's not moving. Oh, wait. In vector 3 force, what is this? That's just a float. So it's 10 on every axis. Maybe that's why. I guess we can do... If I want to rotate as a roll, how would you... I guess like you would do vector 3 dot... Wait, no, vector 3... You want to roll, you'd probably be doing it as up. Right? Does that make sense? I don't know. One of these, yeah, you would be doing it as up. So you'd always want to roll in some way, in positively. So you go like this. Yeah, sure. I feel like I'm missing something very important here. Or maybe it is moving, but it's just so slight that we can't see it. What if I just do like this? Apply torque. Applies an angular velocity on this body. Vector 3 up is on the roll axis. Oh, is that roll? Yeah, wait. Pitch, yaw, roll. It's on the roll axis. It's positive, so it should be going upwards. Maybe just try this for a bit. There we go. Or, well, here. Let's go like here. Yeah, we'll do like this. Just try this. Yeah, this makes sense. Still doesn't work here. There's a type mismatch that I can't really figure out what that is. But this should be getting to this point. Like if I do log.info, and it should be getting here. It's specifically the way that I'm like doing the math, which is kind of confusing me. It's the math that I don't understand. Or rather... I wish there was a way to see it. In fact, we can probably just see it by breaking it out. So if I have this, and I unlink from prefab. Okay, there we go. And I look at this thing. It's not applying anything. My math is probably not correct. And yet sometimes you can see that is active flash. Sorry, you can't see anything. Like sometimes you can see the is active thing flash. It's specifically probably this. What does it mean by pressed? Action wasn't pressed, but now it is. What about down? Action is currently pressed down, and maybe that's why. Well, now that stays for sure. Now it's a lot better in terms of staying correctly. But still, the rotation's off. It's like, as in, it's not applying any rotation at all. So maybe it's okay, just unlock everything because I'm curious exactly what happens. Not that motion is enabled, but that doesn't change anything. It is actually rotating very slightly if you look at the value of the Y. It's very slightly moving, and you can actually kind of see it if you look very closely. You can see the pixels on it just slightly moving. It's like slightly churning. What the fuck is going on? Why is that happening? Why is it drifting? Why is it drifting? Because if I'm looking at and then you apply the angular, the cross product, but I'm not applying the cross product. I'm currently going up, so it's always going towards that. So it should always be fine. Like it should always be based on the roll, which is the X, Y, it's the Z axis. And so I'm getting the vector 3 up, which is the Z axis positive. 1 times 1,000, which is like 1,000 within the up axis. No? Am I crazy? Or am I just not understanding angular velocity again? Have I misunderstood what angular velocity is? There's a good chance I'm misunderstanding angular velocity. I just kind of assumed that this would all work, so I was just kind of hoping to skip by most of all the complexities. But I'm realizing, okay, yeah, we probably should have looked at what exactly is angular velocity. Let's play around with this. We know that it kind of works. We know that nothing's locked in, so it can all sort of move the way that it wants to. We have a visual indicator of whether or not it's moving based on the is active property, which is tied directly to whether or not we're pressing the button down. Then we just need to see if it works at all. So if I go like this and I say, okay, none of this, should be applying an angular velocity and up, a little forward. And why is it vector 3 and not something else? Because if it's going up and you apply torque to it, angular velocity, and you go upwards, is my mental image of torque wrong from what the engine thinks it knows is torque? I wonder if that's why. Okay, well now it's working. Very slowly, I might add. Incredibly slowly. It's actually very slowly churning on that axis. I think it's just because, I don't know why, it's all of a sudden it's different now. But now it's slowly churning, so it's just not enough power within that axis. Okay, so we just gotta... Like, how many numbers does it need to feel good? Okay, that's too much. You know what? This is why I have the power. You know what I mean? This is so I can play with it and test it live and see what it feels like. So, and then if I go like this, power 10, active, it barely moves. You see how the value of this roll is barely going down? If I do 10, if I do 10,000, it's a bit faster. If I do like 100,000, like holy shit, how much power do you need to push this thing? That's a lot of power. And theoretically, it'll get faster and faster because I actually didn't put a cap on it, so it'll just keep spinning forever. So how do I... Because there's no gravity, so it never actually stops, right? But why does it need a multiplier of like 100... of 1 million? Or like 10 million? Why does it need a multiplier of 10 million before it starts working? Because 1 times 10 million is just 10 million. But why is that... What exactly is causing it to be so high? Or is that just how physics works? You know what it is? What's the unit for the physics in this engine? And what does it relate to? Because you know how in real life gravity is like 8.3 something kilometers a second going downwards? What are things here within this game engine? Hmm. Because then that would explain a lot about why it's so slow. You know? Well, not at the moment, but I really should apply like some damping thing. Well, that's just the fall. So clearly the gravity works, but why is the value so weak? Well, anyways, we can just add all this back now, I guess. This whole snippet of code here should just work, actually. So I do like this, and then, yeah, because that should just work. And then we do this. Oh, sorry. This. There we go. Oops. This is automatically formatted code. This is painful to me. Oh, oops. Curious to see. This should clamp it. Okay. Nope, it's not working. It's clamping the wrong way. Oh, you know what? It's because angular velocity, when I switch it, I know what I have to do. So I need to save what it was last frame. So it's like, hmm. If, hmm. This condition is going to be weird. If, var at extents equal. I don't know if that's a good name for it, but basically it's gonna be like this. I don't know why I did that. Yeah. Okay. There we go. This is awful. Or pressed and pressed not equals is active. So I know exactly why it's happening. So you have to do this, and then if at extents, don't apply any force to it. Just have it sit there, return. Basically, when it switches direction, it also needs to immediately cancel the force of the opposite direction. And I also need to do it in a way that I can apply a maximum velocity to it. Which I probably have to do like a PI controller, which I don't really want to do. But sure. Yeah, it's close enough. The inverse, though, is definitely not correct. I forgot that there's 3 axes. If you have 3 axes, how do you get the inverse of it? How do you say which axis you want it to be inverted to? Oh. Easy. Just do this. Easier, a lot easier. We'll do it like this. We'll do it like this. We'll do dot x with x. What? Oh, we can just do with x. Okay, cool. At angular velocity dot with z rigid body dot angle no dot z times -1. There we go. Just flip it. We literally just flip only the z and it's whatever. I'm not applying the right amount, but it's like close. It's getting there. It's getting there. The problem is that because the force can build over time, you need to make sure that your maximum velocity is there too. So you need to cap velocity in a way that it doesn't keep on going. Kind of the problem. Because then, if you apply it immediately, it should cancel. And you immediately apply it in the opposite direction. If you cancel it by going the opposite way, does it even make sense? It should. Because once you cancel it out and you apply it in the opposite direction, you just be moving that way. We're only gonna go for another half an hour. My head's starting to hurt, and I kind of just want to move on the fly night. I don't know why this doesn't necessarily cancel immediately, but it's probably just because the angular velocity has been built up to such a high degree. But that shouldn't matter. Like we do, because no matter what, we get the angular velocity as it is right now, and we simply apply the opposite value. So shouldn't it immediately cancel out? Or am I crazy? Should it not immediately cancel out? I'm applying the same torque. I just flip the z-axis because that's the only axis that I care about. With z, and I do z, and I flip it so it's the exact opposite. We see it working, but it slowly dampens and it like drifts over. Oh, damping. Maybe it's the damping of it. Is there damping? There's no damping. Rigid body flags. Disable collision sounds. What? No. I like that. How does physics work? How does physics work? Physics angular torque. Canceling. How do you cancel physical torque? Oh, here we go. Hey. Jesus Christ, Con. It's so bright. Overview the key terms. This is the change in rotational velocity. It's the inertia. Oh, so it's called inertia. Right. So it's not damping. It's called inertia. What's damping? What? Physical damping. What's this? Damping is the loss of energy of an oscillating system by dissipation. Is that not the same thing? What's oscillation? Oscillation is the repetitive or periodic variation, typically in time, of some measure about the central value between two or more different states. Isn't it the same thing as... I don't get the... Isn't it within the lens of rotations? Wouldn't this be the oscillation? The oscillation is how much you rotate. So wouldn't it... I don't know. Resistance to change in rotational velocity around the axis of rotation, proportional to the mass and affected by the distribution of mass. Also called the moment of inertia. Scalar quantity with SI units of kilograms times meter squared. Meter squared being your angular velocity, probably. And kilograms being the mass. Oh, do I have to take into account the mass of the thing? Maybe that's why. I don't know the mass of this thing. Right? I guess I don't really know. Mass override. Only when value is more than 0. Well, maybe I would like to have that. I don't know. Override mass center? No, I just want... So what's the current mass? What happens if I do this? Okay, so if I override the mass... Oh, fuck. Well, it's definitely related to mass. So it's definitely the inertia. But I don't understand how it necessarily works. What I basically want is for it to immediately go up and down. And maybe it's better... Maybe we don't bother doing this one with physics. Maybe we just do a normal transform rotation and just let the physics engine resolve when it hits things. Because I'm thinking about it more, it doesn't make sense to use physics because if you hit something, you don't want the paddles to slow down. That's actually another thing that I thought about now. So actually, drop the paddle the same. Do this via... direct transformations on the paddle transform, because if it's physics based, when the paddle hits a ball, it'll slow down for a moment. That's actually not what we want to have. Yeah. Oops. Okay, well, wrong mindset entirely. There we go. That solves it. So if I do all of this, I still probably want it on fixed update because it still has to deal with the physics side of things. Like, it's going to have to interact with physics objects. But I can get rid of the rigid body entirely, which is nice. So if I go like this, Well, I mean, local rotation. I don't know why I checked for rigid body that local rotation. That's stupid. Yeah. And then we just do yeah, we just do 0. Okay, so if we just do this, and really this should just be between to change this to be a between check. And we no longer need to apply any torque, so maybe even this check disappears as a whole. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. There we go. Okay, so if I go like, oops. Is after the press, If we are at the extent, or we're capped, I don't know, maybe just say capped. Capped. If capped, we do this. Shit. Capped. We're capped, and we do that. Otherwise, we just do this. Transform, rotate. Use local rotation. Oops. Rotation rotate around axis. You then decide the axis. So you do the up axis. So vector 3. Well, I mean, local rotation up technically, and then you would determine the what is this? Second value is the float by degrees. Oh shit. But we don't want to go directly to a certain degree. We want to slowly get there. The rotates are around this function around a given axis. Is it what are the functions are there on this actually? Can I convert from I know. From to rotation. What? Returns a rotation that rotates from one direction to another. That's the change of the direction that you want to move in. Rotate around an axis is what axis we really want to rotate around. Really what you'd want is something like this. You'd want to like lerp it and then go around slowly. Clamp to within degrees of past rotation. Oh wait, also passes out the change in degrees of any. Clamp to within degrees of past rotation. Slip 2. Perform a spherical rotation. There we go. From this rotation to a target rotation by given amount. How does this work? Without any idea of time. Fraction. Spherical rotation by amount. What? Fraction. I guess from 0.0 to 1.0. 0.0 being the source, the current one. 1.0 being the target one. That's kind of weird though. Because every single time it moves, it has a new 0.0 point, no? What exactly is the fraction? What? By given amount? Wait, so the rotation.lerp. Rotation A, rotation B. Target, Jesus Christ. Linear rotation from A to B by given amount. That's a whole... What is that? That's a whole giant object of some kind. What is that? This range. It's an attribute. Mark this property as a ranged float / integer. Oh, yeah, so it's 0.0 to 1.0. Clamp true, slided true. Float fraction. If clamp, fraction clamp between this and that, quaternion compared to A and B. A being this, B being that. This would only work if you don't reference this. Right? What? Am I crazy? This would only work if you don't reference this. Because if you reference this, if 0.0 is this, and then 1.0 is a target, and then you've begun to rotate this because this is being rotated, and then you apply it to this, like you replace the rotation because you want it to be replaced, wouldn't it just constantly, wouldn't it just like slowly get faster and faster because your 0.0 is now over here versus over there? Or sorry, it gets slower and slower. Like the closer you get to the very end, it gets slower and slower. As it reaches the, I forget the exact term. There's like a mathematical term when you reach the eclipse of something. What is it called? What is that term? It's when you reach like the extent of something and it starts to get slower and slower and slower. Not the hypotenuse. Yeah, that's basically what happened. Hmm. Maybe we don't do this, or maybe I just keep the original transformation the original rotation that it had when it starts, and I say that's the basis, and then I just let them move in between that. It's set. But that's kind of weird. Well, is it weird? I guess not. And then fraction can be a duration of time. Like if it's because then I could do it. Actually, no, that might be good. We take the original rotation that it had. We snapshot it as soon as it starts. So on start, we snapshot that, and then the fraction can be just a function of time. So it's like it should like if x amount of delta time has passed over 1 second, it should rise to the very top, and then it should fall back to where it is. So there's always a consistent timing for where it moves. Actually, no, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. It's whatever. Well, yeah, okay. That's yeah. Okay, okay. Sure. And then really, this should just be a clamp. I should really clamp this. So maybe actually better just do that as clamp later. I'm kind of lazy too. And then we do. Well, actually, we can just call it clamp. We can literally just do that clamp, and then we can check if it's already there. We can skip the rest of it. Mm. Yeah, that makes sense. So this is probably fine, or we'll check if there's any way to do this and take into account epsilon, which is like the small margin of error due to the float number, to do clamp this, slurp it. And then we need the... Can you get delta time in here? Time.delta is that fixed interval. Yeah, okay. Over like 1 second. It should rise to the top and rise to the bottom. So really, I don't know. What's like a good property for the speed of completion? Speed. I don't know. Like, really, power isn't really the term. It's... Well, I mean, power is the term, but it's used differently now. Rather, it's not even power at all. It should be like... how long it takes to get to either extent. Which is a bit weird. It should take you in total to, like, let's say a second to get from the bottom to the top, right? But what do you let go at 0.5 seconds? How do you then know that you're at 0.5 seconds worth of progress? And so you push it back downwards for only 0.5 seconds versus the full second. Because then you would be dropping twice as slow. I guess what you could do there is probably... There was a great programming meme that I saw once where it was like... People think that programming is a lot like the hacker shows where someone's always typing and stuff, but honestly, programming is a lot of... I have my hand on my face. I'm just touching different parts of my face. I'm playing with my hair. I'm like stretching and massaging, and my eyes are squinting very hard as if I'm trying to see some forbidden or like unknown truth in the world. Never realizing that there is no truth. The only truth is that I'm an idiot. So there's actually nothing that I can do to actually figure this stuff out. Yeah. Time to completion. It's good. And then we do public float current time active. It's like current time active. Okay, I think that probably works. And then taking that, I can determine what the fraction is. So it's like the fraction is, time to completion divided by current time active. And then that's your fraction of like 0 to 1. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. And I can use that to determine where exactly we are and then which way we should go. Okay, so... And I want all these as properties just so I can stare at them. Public rotation. snapshotted rotation. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So then you would do, and then if it's like if I don't know. Unstart? I don't know. Unstart called once before the first update when enabled. It should be enabled. So if I do this and we take the current rotation, so it's like snapshot rotation equals local rotation. That's a value type, so I should copy over. It's a struct. We just copy it over. We keep that static the entire time. That doesn't ever change. And I say, okay, well now we want to do local rotation. Oops. Dot slurp 2. From this rotation to a target rotation by kernel. It's actually not local rotation. What we want to do is we do snapshotted rotation. Well, if pressed, oops, not preserve signature attribute. Yeah. Current time active plus equals, we'll figure this out. Time dot delta. Else, and then we just do minus equals. I'm pretty sure you can do like a ternary here, but I'm not gonna bother. It's always better to write the worst code possible, and then you slowly shift it afterwards. And then you do this, you slip it to this. So we want to slip it from this to the target, which is the maximum rotation that it can have. To max rotation. The fraction is time to completion divided by current time active. And thus I need to make sure that these equal 0 by default. So no, not a XML doc. To do like default 0 here? Or set it? Not sure. So it's gonna have to default to 0. These can't be not a numbers. They have to be numbers. So actually maybe it's better here. Assert. How do you do this? Assert. Oops. Assert. Oh, wait. Assert. True. Time to completion. Is there a way to do like not equal float.nan? Oh wait, there we go. Oh wait, even better. You just do float.isNan. Okay, so we'll do float isNan time to completion and then current time active. So basically these two together into one. Yeah, current time active. Set time to completion. Wait, that should just be 0. Current time active should just be 0 always. Yeah. I don't know why. Like this is technically an internal value, which actually isn't used anywhere. So actually, private. Sorry. Yeah. I need to start using this way of going through things within the line by hitting slash and saying like, okay, set. And you can like search for the word within the line and you can like jump to it. I really should start doing that more. So you have this slip to time to completion divided by current time active. You clamp it, but what do you clamp it to? Why is it clamped? What? Clamp. Amount clamp 0.0. Oh, I see. 1.0. Issue. Explicit reference operation. Ooh. That's probably fine. Yeah, okay. So we don't actually need this. And we clamp it between these values. And so it automatically kind of clamps between the max rotation and the min rotation. And then so it's like if it's pressed. So if it's pressed, it would do specifically this. Otherwise... Oh wait, you would always add to it actually. If pressed, you would do this. Otherwise, you slip it the other way around. But the fraction, you would start to count down from the current time active. Wait. Yeah. You put that like this. And then you do current time active. Would that be okay? Well, because technically, Snowjob 2, well, yeah, technically, this is pinball. You know, okay, Chad did mention that I should name this Snowjob 2 to confuse people. So it's like, if I name this Snowjob 2, and then we release it, and it's just a pinball game, and then I release Snowjob 1, I think it would be funny. On some level. But it would confuse people significantly. If I minus the current time active, that should be okay. I think it's fine. Yeah, okay. Actually, this can just be outside here. Because then it's technically slurping 2, and the fraction is the same. So actually, there's not really a min rotation. It's just a max. And actually, there's no need to even check if it's capped. Like, it's just... If it's close to the epsilon of this, then maybe it's this. Did I convince you, by the way, Mod, to go vote early? Because again, it's actually pretty intense if you go and you do it the day of. Oh wait, no, but you don't have a way to vote early. Have you looked into the mail thing? The mail thing might actually help you. It's honestly, I don't know, it's very hard to want to stand in line for a few hours. In freezing cold, by the way. This really should be like an epsilon thing. I don't know. Would it be nice to check if there's like an epsilon thing? Yeah. Oh well, that's fine. So if it's at the max rotation, we don't do anything. Wait, no, we do need to do something. Maybe we don't even check this. Yeah. If pressed and we're at the max, we just return. Otherwise, if we're at the snapshot, then we just return. Equals snapshotted rotation, then we return. Does that make sense? Does that save us anything? I guess it saves us for calling the slurp, which does a whole bunch of other calculations, which is fine. That's just kind of weird though, but I think it's fine. And I don't know, make sure there's to do, maybe take into account epsilon. Yeah, okay, so you do this, and you do... I need to clamp this number. I don't know. What was it again? I'm pretty sure there's like a max function within... Math max. Is there like a math? Oh, there is. Okay, good. Here we go. Yeah. Which is the larger of the two. Wait, no. Math min. Right. Math min. Math.min. Is there no easier way to do this? Math.min. Max. Time to completion. There we go. And then effectively the same thing here, except math.max. And then 0. There we go. So then as you rise, and as you fall, it changes depending on whether you're active. You have the same consistent time whether you go up from the bop, whether you're trying to get to the top, or you're trying to drop to the bottom. Not the bop. The bop is the bop and the is the bop and the bottom, or the top and the bottom. Yeah, okay. Let's see what this feels like. See, people always say like, oh yeah, they want to see programming stuff, right? Programming is not a fun thing to watch. Like, I've tried to watch people programming before. It's very painful. It's a very painful endeavor. Oh, oops. I don't think time to completion should be 2 and 2. Okay, well now it doesn't work. I'm holding this. Snapshot of rotation is minus 180, minus 180. Max rotation is minus 130. Minus 180, minus 180, minus 130. Maybe representing it as Euler angles wasn't the best thing, because it's kind of confusing to convert it in my head. the quaternion that it should be. Because it's accurate in terms of quaternion, I think, right? But it's not accurate in terms of what the value is. I don't really get it. Oh, you know what? I need to make sure that this is the same thing. So if I look at this, max rotation is minus 130. But it's also minus 180 here. Oops, there we go. Except it's not working anymore. Oh, right, because I'm not actually assigning it anywhere. Oops, right. And then local rotation equals this. Is it fine to replace this? I'm pretty sure it's fine to replace this. I doubt that's gonna break anything. Okay, well now it's not falling. It feels like a pinball game. Now why is it not falling? Huh. Now why is it not falling? So it should be doing it like this. Equals snapshot of rotation. If it's at the bottom, then it should be doing this. Log.info at bottom returning. At top returning. There we go. It's already at the top, but if I let go, it should be falling. The right paddle's already at the top, so it's not going to add anything. But it should be falling. It's just the falling that doesn't work now. Is it because... Oh, right. It's which one do we slip from? So it's like, okay, well, right. Pressed snapshot of rotation or local or max rotation. Oh, shit. These two are the opposites of each other. But the rest of the operation is the same. How about this? Var fraction equals this time 2 over here. We go over here. We do this. Put this over here like this. We then do the fraction. Oops, fraction. We do the fraction over here. We then say this, and then we do... Well, instead of doing it like this, if pressed... Oh my god, because I don't want to go too crazy with ternaries. Too many ternaries hurt my head. Snapshot of rotation. That's slurp 2 max rotation fraction. Not that ternaries are bad, but looking at them and trying to discern what's going on is a little difficult. Like there's a lot of different pieces moving with ternaries, and when you nest the multiples of them, it gets complicated too. Slip to snapshot of rotation. There we go. And then just local rotation equals. This is terrible. What's this? Convert to operator. Urgh. Okay, good. So it works. All right, and it feels the exact same if you let go halfway. Well, if I could let go halfway through, it needs more time. It needs more time to go up and down. It needs a bit more time. Let's do like 10 seconds so I can let go halfway through. The fraction is a little fast. It's actually insanely fast. I don't know why it's so fast, actually. Why is it so fast? What? Why is it so fast? Wait. Am I stupid? Did I calculate the fraction wrong? What's like, I don't know. What's like a... I probably calculated the number of the fraction wrong. It's been a while since I've done math. If you do 100 divided by 5, I'm so stupid. It's the small divided by the large. Sorry, it's the current divided by the max. Right. Sorry. Wrong order. It's this. It's gonna take 10 seconds for it to rise, and if I let go, uh oh. Why? Oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, because it's going from the max. I need to, like, invert the fraction. Right, I need to invert the fraction. It's max rotation, but the inverse of the fraction. So it's like 1 minus this. There we go. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Yeah, the math makes sense. The math eventually will make sense, and it just totally works out. So it falls and rises at a consistent rate always. The physics will still hit because it's just a collider, so it's fine. And then we don't need the rigid body because it didn't make sense. We only need the rigid body for the balls, and the balls will just sort of naturally resolve itself through the physics system. It doesn't really matter. We're at the max. It says at bottom retreating. We're not at the bottom. Oh, this is at the bottom. It's not saying at max. It should be saying that it's at the max, but it's not saying that it's at the max. Which means I need to somehow... I need to... Oh, I do need to check for epsilon. Okay, yeah, well, I mean, this has to check for epsilon then. To do... How do you check for... what? To do that thing where you can check for accuracy with floats... with float values that I forget. Or maybe this isn't worth it and is more expensive in the long run. Since it'll always happen. You know what, let's just say it's going to be more expensive no matter what, and it's better to just keep sloping it, even if it doesn't do anything. There we go. Way easier. And I can actually I can consolidate these. There we go. Way easier. There we go. Okay, cool. So this works. We actually got... So the paddle's done. What else is there? Should draw paddles the same. Spin paddle around the center. Center paddles can be aimed at. Easy way to reference this. The paddles themselves are hooked up to the thing. Paddle prefab with center. Center of the paddle is hooked up so we can get it from there. We can probably just make like a system or something. I'm not really sure. What is a good system? I'm not really sure. Oh god. Oh god. Oh, it does switch. Okay, good. Perfect. How do you make a system again? I actually made like a test system over here. I think for the splitter. Yeah, this thing. I made this to handle the ball splitting eventually. Because it kind of has to make a bunch of objects and apply them all at once versus not. Otherwise the physics goes kind of wonky. So I had to do it all at once just to make sure that the physics was guaranteed to happen at the right time. We basically copy this for the sake of getting the center. We then use that system to propagate to everyone else. And say, okay, well, use this to get the center to aim at to put the balls. But you know what? I kind of figured that we wouldn't even get close to finishing this on the day one. Hey, you know what? That was a fun little experiment. That's why I don't like programming on stream. We got the paddles working, but programming on stream really is kind of annoying. I'll probably work on that plugin later for OBS to manage the windows. And I need to really, really brush up on my physics stuff. But yeah, that was good, I guess. Say, okay, chat, do you actually enjoy like programming streams? I'm actually curious how many of you genuinely enjoy programming streams. Because, again, I only do this at the behest of chat, in the sense of like, maybe you want to see it, but I'm realizing that it's actually so painful for me to do that I kind of want to just do it by myself on the side, and you just get like a slow, steady drip of games, right? And then we just spend all of stream playing games for ourselves instead. But yeah, it's surprisingly difficult to stream programming. And the sandbox things, like there's a lot of weird things about it around package publishing. But the engine's actually just sort of good, but I haven't really gotten far. Presumably later on we can probably get some more features, but I forget how hard it is to have to wrap your head around, especially the physical things, like having to deal with the multi-domain discipline stuff. Like it's... having to have a good grasp on how you want things to behave, having a good grasp on whether or not to use physics. And if you want to use the physics side, how many physics concepts do you have to know to get a good grasp on how it works? It's a surprisingly large amount. But that was a fun little experiment. This is just one of the many first experiments coming back to programming streams in a whole different system. I'm still not a big fan of it, but we'll see how it goes moving forward. Should get a lot smoother as time goes on, but there is a certain level of friction to it that makes it harder for me to focus on what I'm doing. It's also weird to have to constantly explain my thoughts, and I feel like that slows me down more than anything compared to just pushing through, if that makes sense. I feel like I'd be faster if I just wasn't talking. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I also just, I feel like my brain is super addled, so see how it is. But we'll see if this pinball game works out. I feel like it would eventually work out, but again, I feel like even for the smallest types of games, it's going to take like a week at least. Like, it's just, there's so much to do even for this, and there's so many different things that we have to figure out in terms of how the engine works and stuff, like how prefabs work and how to make it, how to hook it up to things, how to look and inspect the properties of a prefab and per game object within it at runtime without having to break it out. Like, I wish you could do with that, for instance. There's a lot that's going on, so we'll see how it goes. I'll be back in a moment after just a quick washing break. I need to clear my mind for a bit, and then we'll just move on to some games, okay? Because this is a first experiment of what happens when we do both at the same time. It's gonna be basically for the entire week, and we'll just slowly build up from it, and we'll see if it gets better and better and better. But there is a good chance that we might drop it if I find it to be not as smooth as I would hope over time in terms of programming streaming. But I'm hoping that it does get smoother, at least on my end, both from a familiarity of the process, as well as I'm getting used to like switching windows over and remembering to minimize certain things. BRB.